Baseball on Fox Sports Detroit is presented by
Bell Tire.
Tonight, Anibal Sanchez will take them out for the Tigers in search of his 6th victory of the season on a special and warm night, a beautiful night for baseball. Welcome to Comerica Park. Game 1 in the series featuring the Oakland Athletics and your Detroit Tigers. Hi again, everyone, and welcome to Tigers Baseball. Mario and Pemba, glad to have you with us here tonight. A very special evening here at the ballpark. We celebrate the 30th anniversary of the 1984 championship team. As we check down on the field now with my partner, Rod Allen, of course, part of that team. Rod, especially part of the opening ceremonies, I'm sure, here tonight.
Oh, no doubt about that, partner. One of the best years of my professional career, a 1984 championship team. This crowd here is just amazing. 40,000 people in attendance here showing this kind of love to this team 30 years ago. It's awfully special. I love it.
All right, now that is the backdrop for this ball game tonight, which obviously is going to be a big one. You've got two of the top teams in the American League, a team that is really good statistically pitching-wise. The Tigers, of course, very good offensively.
Well, not only that, they both have good managers. We have Brad Ausmus. They have Bob Melvin. You have two outstanding pitching staffs. The Oakland Athletics pitching staff has been a whole lot better this year. You take a look at where they rank as far as pitching is concerned. They just shut you down. Their run differential is tremendous. They have a really good baseball team. On the other hand, from an offensive standpoint, the Tigers are stellar too. They've got Miguel Cabrera. They have J.D. Martinez. They got Torrey Hunter. They've got a really good team. Two good pitchers going today. This should be a lot of fun here tonight. It's already been a good day.
It's been a fired-up crowd. There's no doubt about that. And through the course of the broadcast tonight, we'll have a lot of the 84 Tigers coming through the booth, so stay tuned for that. After a short break, we'll send you back to the Call Sam Studios. Check in with Mickey York. But coming up in this one here tonight, the boys are back in town. Tigers come home from the road trip, and the 84 guys are back in the Motor City. Stay with us. Tigers A's coming up next. Back here at Comerica Park in downtown Detroit, we are ready for baseball here this evening. The Tigers and the Athletics, two of the top teams in the American League, squaring off in this series on a special night here at the ballpark. Anibal Sanchez on the hill for the Tigers, the 30-year reunion of the 1984 championship team as well. So we will talk to a few of those former Tigers as the broadcast continues here tonight. The Tigers, meanwhile, finishing up a really good road trip. They won 7 of 9, and the Athletics come to town with one of the best records in all of baseball, so this will be an outstanding series here at Comerica Park. Coco Crisp is leading it off. Anibal Sanchez. And Sanchez's first pitch of tonight's ball game is in for a strike on Coco Crisp. Warm evening for baseball here in the Motor City. Coco batting .287 for the Athletics. He's been hot. .365 over his last 24 ball games. Sanchez ready with the 0-1 pitch. And Crisp will take low and in. 1 ball and 1 strike. 6 home runs this year for Crisp. He is hit safely in his last 4, and there is no question that he is pretty much the stir that straws their drink. He is the catalyst at the top of their lineup. The 1-1 is roped on the ground and right by Miguel Cabrera into the right field corner. Crisp will take an aggressive turn. He's going to try to get to second, and he will, sliding safely. Here's the rest of the lineup for the Athletics. It is presented by the Metro Detroit Chevy dealers tonight. And for the A's, you just saw Crisp. He is followed by John Jaso and then Yoenis Cespedes, who's been red hot. 13-game streak for the Athletics. Moss and Donaldson to follow, then Stephen Vogt at first base. They've got Lowry, Callaspo, and Sogard as your bottom 3. And the right-hander Anibal Sanchez, presented by Family Heating, Cooling, and Electrical.
Anibal Sanchez has made 8 starts since coming off the disabled list, 5-0 in those starts. You take a look at overall his numbers this year, 2.64 ERA. Opponents hitting 189 against Anibal.
Meanwhile, Sanchez being made to wait. There was a bird that was stationed between home plate and the pitcher's mound, and finally John Jaso had to chase him out of there. But he does not want to leave. So a leadoff 2-base hit for Coco Crisp. Jaso batting .279 with 7 home runs this year. And he pops up the first pitch. That'll help. Straight down the middle of the infield, and it's caught by Ian Kinsler. 1 gone. Well, maybe that's bad karma, chasing a bird off the field. That's, I guess, home field advantage. I don't know. Whatever, it worked, and the Birds still kind of hanging out. Best seat in the house, albeit a very dangerous seat. Here is Yoenis Cespedes. And not only has he hit safely in 13 straight, but 22 of his last 24, and he really has come on now for the A's.
Doing a much better job this year of looking at pitches, not swinging it, breaking balls in the dirt, not chasing balls after the opposition has gotten ahead of him. He's got a pretty good strike zone going this year.
Early scoring chance for the A's. And Cespedes looks at a strike 0-1.
You can't forget about Chris out at second base. Even though Cespedes is on fire right now, Coco Chris, he has the ability to steal third base.
A's came in tonight with 51 victories, and they are tied for the most in the majors with Milwaukee. Sanchez a long look at second, and he hit him, and Cespedes takes one on the hand. That'll put two aboard. Well, the A's don't want to lose Cespedes out of their lineup.
That is the third hitter now that Anibal Sanchez is hitting his last couple of outings. Hit a couple of Texas Rangers 5 days ago as well.
Really not a whole lot he could do to get out of the way. Cespedes will take first base. They make sure he can continue in this game. Got it on the right hand. Always makes you a bit queasy if you're the manager, because you just know that there's not a whole lot of padding there.
Especially a guy the caliber of Cespedes.
And for Bob Melvin, he has been awfully good. So here is Brandon Moss now with two men on. Slow start for Sanchez tonight. Moss a .264 hitter with 18 home runs. And he looks at ball one down low. 7-game hitting streak right now for Moss. He's coming to town fresh off a sweep of the Marlins over the weekend. They've had 7 sweeps of series this year.
When you have the kind of pitching staff that they boast, and you add in the offensive team that they have as well, you're going to get that a lot. They've dominated a lot of teams this year, led by Bob Melvin.
Outside, 2 balls, no strikes on Moss.
They don't give away at bats. They walk a lot. They hit for a lot of power. And Chili Davis, their hitting instructor in the last couple of years, has done marvelous work with this offensive team.
Bob Melvin has won 57% of his games. The 2-0 pitch is a swing and a miss.
It's not Bob Melvin's first gig as a manager. He also managed the Arizona Diamondbacks and the Seattle Mariners.
2-1 the count. Of course, the Tigers in recent past have knocked the A's out of the playoffs a few times. They have Crisp aboard at second, Cespedes at first. Driven in the air to right field. On the move is Torrey Hunter. He's going to run it down. Crisp will tag up. He'll go to third and make it easily. 2 gone.
Let's take a look at the starting defensive alignment for the Detroit Tigers. It's presented by Beaumont Health System. In the outfield, you've got Davis, Jackson, and Hunter. Castellanos, Suarez, Kinsler, Miggy round out the infield. And the catcher tonight is Alex Avila.
So Sanchez now has a chance to pitch out of the first inning problem. Josh Donaldson will stand in. And he really has been battling it, although he's had good numbers this year. The Tigers saw him earlier this year when Donaldson was really swinging it. He has since cooled considerably. In fact, only 160 over his last 20 ball games. And he sends a ground ball back up the middle. Suarez, great play, flip for the force, and the inning is over. What a play by Eugenio Suarez. He saved a run. Scoreless game as we go to the bottom of the first inning here at the ballpark tonight. Here is the Tigers starting lineup presented by the Southeast Michigan Ford dealers, and it looks like this. Rajai Davis will lead off. He's in left field, followed by Kinsler, who had a huge road trip. Then Cabrera. J.D. Martinez, your DH tonight, filling in for Victor, who was a late scratch. Torrey Hunter is in right. Castellanos at third. A bottom three of Avila, Suarez, and Austin Jackson batting ninth. And they are facing the left-handed offerings of Scott Kazmir.
And Scott Kazmir has had an outstanding season. He did have a rough outing 5 days ago against the New York Mets. Gave up 7 earned runs in that contest. But other than that, his numbers are sparkling, and he might be the leader in the clubhouse to start the All-Star game this year in Minnesota.
His numbers certainly deserving of it. We'll check out the Bernstein advantage now, and certainly Rajai Davis has the Bernstein advantage against Kazmir. How about these numbers? 9 for 18 against Kazmir. With a 3-bagger thrown in there, and Kazmir delivers a strike.
And that may be one reason why he is leading off today instead of Ian Kinsler. His numbers career against Scott.
Here's the 0-1 pitch. Swing and a miss, 0-2.
Nice change speeds. That's what he featured against the Tigers in that game out in Oakland, where he and Anibal Sanchez hooked up. It was a tremendous baseball game, and the two of them matched each other pitch for pitch. But that change speed is real nice for Kazmir these days.
Yep, there goes Davis. And he featured it beautifully in that at bat. Rajai strikeout number 1.
And Tim Hortons will sponsor the defensive alignment for the Oakland Athletics here tonight. So you've got Cespedes, Crisp, and Moss in the outfield. They've got 23 assists between their outfielders, second most in major leagues. Arizona Diamondbacks number 1. Cayespo, Lowry, Sogard, Vogt in the infield. And Jaso, he's the catcher tonight.
Here is Ian Kinsler now with 1 out. Kinsler batting .307. Boy, his average really took a hike with that last road trip.
He was balling in Texas, wasn't he?
He really was. And, you know, you don't know which way that's going to go a lot of times. Guys are going to be too hyped up, or they're just zeroed into play.
He handled it perfectly.
Of course, it really doesn't hurt when you hit a home run your first at bat. He shoots that one on the ground to the second baseman. Gobbled up there by Sogard. 2 up, 2 down. Here is Miguel Cabrera. Well, you can credit the Houston Astros for slowing down the middle of the Tigers lineup. And Cabrera, although he hit a couple of balls hard, had a rough go of it. 0 for 13 in that Houston series. We'll see if everything changes here tonight.
He's got a new pair of batting gloves on tonight. That much we do know. When Miguel goes hitless in any game, he just throws those batting gloves away and pulls out a fresh pair. So he's been changing the last 3 days.
Kazmir ready, and he missed outside.
And Kazmir reminds me of the former starting pitcher Mark Langston with that high leg kick, a high 3/4 arm slot.
That one missed. 2 balls, no strikes. Well, Kazmir has been through just about everything in his career. Was out of baseball, was pitching an independent ball, thought his career might be over. Now, this year, he's probably headed to the All-Star game.
95 miles an hour, topping out with his fastball, which gives him nice separation between the changeup and the breaking ball. He's throwing a lot of strikes. He has just been an outstanding pitcher this year. And really, you can go back to the second half of last year when he was in Cleveland. He was tremendous, and that's why the Oakland Athletics identified very early during the free agent process that he was the one guy they wanted.
The 3-1 pitch, fouled off 3-2. Well, part of what has been a dynamite pitching staff, the Oakland Athletics coming in statistically at least leading the American League in many categories. They are the top pitching team in the AL. And Kazmir, a huge part of that. He's in search of his 10th win of the season here tonight. 9-3 record. Here's the 3-2. Miggy fouls it straight back. I mentioned Cabrera was 0 for 13 in that series against the Stros. That was on the heels of going 10 for his first 26 on the road trip. So it's not like he was struggling going into that series. Still, if you're Brad Ausmus, you're pretty fired up about winning 7 out of 9. Here's the 3-2 again. That's going to be a foul ball down the right field line.
That's what Miguel did a lot of yesterday, which leads me to believe that he's not too far off from getting a few base hits. 3 of his outs made yesterday were all to right field, and that's what Miguel does when he's not getting hits. He simply forces himself into staying inside the baseball and hitting the ball the opposite way to get back on track.
There you go, base hit. This one in the left center field. Cabrera taking the turn. He's going to try for 2. Here comes the throw, and he's going to be in there. It's going to be a 2-out double. I'm not sure I thought he had a chance, but he made it easily.
Now Miguel got himself a fastball right down the middle, pulled his hands in nicely, ripped it right past their shortstop, Jet Lowry, and he was going 2 from the time he left the batter's box.
29th double of the year, which is an American League high, and here is J.D. Martinez to try and knock him in. J.D. was not in the initial lineup. Victor Martinez was going to be your DH, but some side soreness has taken Victor out of the lineup. Well, this guy right here is a pretty good replacement.
No doubt. J.D. having a monster season so far. 317, 9 homers. And his month of June has been absolutely stellar.
354 this month for J.D.
That changeup, however, that Kazmir is featuring here in the very first inning is absolutely dirty. I mean, great arm speed, which sells the pitch. And he's throwing his fastball at about 92, 93. That changeup at about 80 miles an hour.
Fouled off at home plate. 1-2. Tigers, by the way, now have 171 doubles this year with that Cabrera 2-bagger, and that leads all of Major League Baseball. Now the question is, can they get him in? Martinez behind in the count with Torrey waiting on deck. And the 1-2. Little roller toward third, foul. Martinez with 32 RBIs this season spent just about the first month down at AAA Toledo. The Tigers could not ignore his numbers. Quickly hit 10 home runs in the month of April. And so they called him up. And it's been hard to take him out of the lineup. They'll whistle that one foul back out of play. I like, Rod, the way J.D. has handled this stretch that he's been in. I mean, he just seems to be an even keel guy. Doesn't get too high with the fact that he's been performing extremely well.
Well, I think he knew he was talented, even though the Houston Astros let him go at the tail end of spring training. He had to prove himself in the Tigers organization in the minors, as you mentioned. But here's a guy that has had success in the big leagues. Just a couple of years ago, he drove in 55 runs for the Astros, which led their team.
Waiting on a 1-2 from Kazmir. Another foul back at the screen. So he's put together a pretty good bat here as he continues to battle the Oakland left-hander. Torrey Hunter waiting on deck. The Tigers had him in the 2 spot in yesterday's game. He's back down to 5 in the lineup here today. And another ground ball, foul, this time down the third base line, which I'm sure is starting to frustrate Kazmir. A 7-pitch at bat so far, and 5 straight have been fouled off. Cabrera, 2-out double, standing at second. And again the 1-2. Got him finally. Down he goes. Off speed pitch. Another strikeout for Kazmir. He is second in the game. Tigers baseball on Fox Sports Detroit is brought to you by Comerica Bank, a part of Detroit and the community since 1849. By Chrysler. And by Mario Olives, adding flavor to life. Back here at Comerica Park.
I didn't know you had your own olives.
Here we go. Every time I read that billboard. Sanchez back to the hill in a scoreless ball game. We go to the second. Stephen Vogt leads it off. And a ball outside to Vogt. Jed Lowry to follow, then Alberto Callaspo for the Athletics, who threatened but did not score. They got a double and a hit batter in the first inning. Sanchez with the 1-0. That's in for a strike. 1-1. Vogt batting .317. They've got some clutch hits from Vogt. He was called up from AAA early June. Now Sanchez with the 1-1. Line to left field. That's going to sink in for a base hit, maybe more. Davis over to cut it off in front of the warning track, and he's going to hold him to a single. Leadoff man on. Let's check in with Shannon Hogan, who's got some very special fans who were here early tonight. Shannon.
Yeah, Joe and Shane have been to lots of playoff games, but you guys had a main mission other than seeing the '84 Tigers today, and I'm thinking it has something to do with your jersey.
Yes, we had to get the jerseys.
And they actually gave away 20,000 jerseys, but people were lined up really, really early today. You guys got here early yourself.
Yeah, we got here like 4:15. There was already a ton of people here.
How was the atmosphere here at Comerica Park compared to some of the playoff games you guys have gone to? This place was rocking for the pregame ceremony.
There was way more people out there for this than any of the World Series games, and we've been to all of them.
All right, can I get a little modeling of this jersey here? I have to say, you guys, the '84 champions on the back. These are pretty good giveaways. 20,000, and I heard they were all out of them by 5:30. So the fans here at Comerica Park having a great time. Mario and Rod, I have lots more new friends to introduce you to as the game goes on. I'll send it back up to you in the booth.
All right, Shannon, thanks. And I would agree. I mean, this almost has like a playoff field here. I was walking in the concourse earlier today, and people are just fired up to be here.
You know, it is something to sit up here and watch and look at all the people in the stands, but when you get down there and you're in the infield and you look up at the stands,
it's overwhelming.
It's overwhelming. It's amazing.
Packed house, beautiful night. And the '84 champs in town. 1 on 1 out here in the second as Callaspo stands in. Leadoff single by Vogt. Lowry has flied out. Callaspo has hit safely in his last 4. Donaldson DHing tonight. Callaspo playing third. And Sanchez sails one outside. 1 ball, 1 strike.
And Callaspo has good numbers against Detroit. It really doesn't matter whether he is wearing the Kansas City Royals uniform, the Angels uniform, or now Oakland Athletics uniform. He's a good contact hitter, and he's put up good numbers against Detroit pitching.
Yeah, he's hit over 300 in his career against the Tigers, 315 to be exact. And when you look at these numbers, 7 homers.
He's a tough out. I mean, he's that one guy that you don't want coming to the plate with runners in scoring position with the game on the line. Doesn't strike out very often, puts the ball in play.
He was acquired from the Angels at the deadline last year and provided a valuable piece to the Oakland lineup in the second half and in the postseason. Here's the 1-2. Bouncing in, 2 balls and 2 strikes.
And here, if you're Sanchez, you might want to go upstairs with about a 94, 95 mile per hour fastball to see if Callaspo will chase it.
Donaldson, or Sogard rather, will be next. He is the number 9 hitter, waiting in the on deck circle. 2-2 the count. And he sends a ground ball first base side. Foul ball is the call.
That is another thing that Callaspo has done a lot of this season. He has grounded into 13 double plays, which leads their team.
Always wondered about guys that bounce into a lot of double plays. What is it about their swing that causes that?
Well, they're guys that stay on their backside a long time, even after contact is made, whether he's batting left-handed or right-handed. And because you're so far on your backside when you make contact, you don't get out of the batter's box that fast.
2-2.
He's already way on that backside right now.
Checked it. Sanchez just missed it.
Outstanding pitch, and had he thrown it over the plate, there's no way that Callaspo would have been able to swing at it. He might have been sitting on an off-speed pitch.
Full count now, 3-2. Vogt the runner at first. He's on the move. High fly ball right field. Torrey is on the run, still going back, and that ball is going to be caught. Hunter in front of the wall. Vogt trying to get back, and he will, standing up. Boy, Cayaspo hit that ball a ton, but Torrey had it all the way.
And Torrey had to get on his horse to get there, though. You can see 48, the number back to play. And running back and making that play on the warning track.
Vogt, I think, thought that thing might find a gap, but he had to come back. And had he pulled that ball, it might have been 10 rows deep. Here's Sogard now with 2 outs. It's been a rough year offensively for Eric Sogard, who hit last year 266, this year 193 so far. In fact, he had lost a lot of his playing time at second base to Cayaspo, but he is now playing at third. Cayaspo is. Here's the 1-0. Sogard looks at a strike. This is Sogard's first start since the 17th of June. Sanchez ready with the 1-1. On the ground to the second baseman Kinsler, and that's going to be it for the Athletics here in the second. No runs, a hit. One man left. We go to the bottom of number 2. Bottom of the second, no score here at the ballpark. Torrey Hunter is among our predictions for the Tigers player of the game, presented by the McDonald's frozen strawberry lemonade. Only at McDonald's. I've got the starter tonight, Aníbal Sanchez.
I've got Torrey Hunter. He's already made one nice defensive play, taking that double away from Cayaspo last half inning.
What about the Crew tonight? They're going to go with Miguel Cabrera.
Crew looking good so far. Miggy hit a double, a hustling double, no less.
So those are our selections. It'll be Hunter, Castellanos, and Avila here in the second, facing Scott Kazmir. Scoreless game, game 1 in this series. Tigers and Athletics hooking up in what should be an entertaining series here at the ballpark as we head toward the All-Star break. And a ball high to Torrey Hunter.
And Torrey Hunter's done nice work overall against Oakland Athletics pitching last couple of years.
Is lifted in the air to center. Hit pretty good. Coco Crisp on the run. 1 out.
And we told you that Aníbal Sanchez and also Scott Kazmir, they locked up for an outstanding pitching duel. This was back in Oakland, and Kazmir, as we told you, he matched Aníbal pitch for pitch. Fastball got up to 95, but he had nice separation in velocity between the changeup and the fastball. Good arm speed as well with the changeup and the breaking ball. And he is pitching with a lot of confidence these days. Young boys call it swagger.
He's got a lot of that, no doubt. 30 years of age, Kazmir. The line on that day, 8 strikeouts, no walks, a 6-hit complete gamer. Swing and a miss by Castellanos. Nick is hit safely in his last 5. And batting .270 now. Castellanos over the month of June has been able to pump his average up. There's a wave and a miss. He left the strike zone there, 0-2. Now the 0-2. Bouncing in, 1 ball and 2 strikes. Castellanos at one point was in the 230 range. He has, as we mentioned, jumped his average up all the way to 270. He had that stretch in early June when he had 3 consecutive games with 3 hits. Kazmir tried to get him to chase. Castellanos would not. 2-2 on Nick. 1 out, nobody on in the second, no score. This is a 3-game series between these 2 squads. Now the 2-2. Checked it low, 3-2.
These are 2 of the best teams in baseball. And so you figure it's going to be highly contested the next 3 days here at Comerica Park.
Boston, ball 4. Nice job by Castellanos. Gets a walk. 1-on-1 out. Hey, the Tigers host the Tampa Bay Rays this Friday at 7:08. The first 10,000 fans 21 and older receive a free Tiger Stars and Stripes tumbler. If you'd like ticket information, call 866-66-TIGER or visit tigers.com. Here's Alex Avila. We were talking, Rod, earlier this year about how the Tigers played that emotional series in Boston. They kind of made a statement after what happened in the postseason last year. Do you think the Athletics feel the same way when they face the Tigers?
Well, they really don't want to see the Tigers in the postseason. They're a very talented team, but they also understand if they run into Verlander when he's right, and Scherzer when he's very good, and Sanchez, and the way Porcello is pitching, it could be a very difficult series. I mean, not to mention they've got a good team too, but Tigers have that power pitching that can just slam you the door in the postseason.
Alex Avila, batter.
Yeah, but no doubt they're not backing down from Detroit. It's a really good baseball team.
They're playing Avila to pull with Castellanos at first. And Casimir hits the outside corner. 1 ball and 1 strike.
And Bob Melvin has been able to mix and match it at different positions. Mix and match, let me get that right. At different positions on the field, lefty-righty combinations, and it works very well for them. They have their set everyday players, but they also platoon in a lot of different positions.
Lifted down the left field line, slicing. Foul ball. Almost dumped that into the corner, which would have scored a run probably. We kind of touched on this in the open, the differences between these clubs, or at least, you know, what they're matching up against here. The Oakland pitching and the Tigers hitting.
And no doubt Oakland has a really good pitching staff, and therefore they shut down the opposition on most nights. And they also have a really good offensive complete team too, which has allowed them to win 51 games. And we know the Tigers offensively have the best average in the American League.
276 coming into play tonight. 1-on-1 out. Avila batting with Castellanos at first. Swing and a miss. So Avila goes down on strikes. Casimir with his 3rd strikeout of the game. It's going to bring up Eugenio Suarez. It's good to see Suarez have that really good series against the Astros.
He got some big hits too. I mean, because the big boys in the middle of batting order weren't doing a whole lot. Torrey had a slow series in Houston. So did Miguel and so did Victor. But when they got down to Suarez's slot, every now and then there were runners on base, and he was able to drive them in.
9 hits on the road trip. Hit .310 on the recent 9-gamer. Suarez in that series against Houston was 5 for 11. Eugenio called up early part of the month. Get his opportunity here. Showed up in spring training, played well. Certainly caught the eye of the Tigers, who at that time were considering quite a few different options. As soon as it was announced that Iglesias would miss most of, if not the entire season, he brought in Alex Gonzalez. That did not work out. Danny Worth got some reps and then was sent down. It was a strike call. They traded for Andrew Romine, and right now the combination is Romine Suarez, but Suarez getting most of the playing time.
Well, they didn't feel like Suarez was ready to start the season in the big leagues, but he went down to AA and AAA, and he also played very well down there from an offensive standpoint, picking up right where he left off the season before.
Runner goes, no chance to throw him out. Big jump by Castellanos.
Yeah, he guessed correctly. He went on first movement, and with that high leg kick that Scott Casimir features, there was no shot for the catcher Jaso to throw out Castellanos, who does not have good speed. But he guessed correctly, and he was able to steal the bag.
Now we'll see if Suarez can knock him in. He's behind in the count 1-2. Chopper back up the middle. Sogard on the charge. Nice play. Inning over. No runs, a walk, a steal, a man left. Tigers baseball tonight. Presented by Bell Tire.
This copyrighted telecast is presented by authority of the Detroit Tigers and may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form. And the accounts and descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without the express written consent of the Detroit Tigers.
Tigers baseball on Fox Sports Detroit is brought to you by Arby's. Try Arby's new King's Hawaiian Roast Beef BLT today. And by Bell Tire. Get the lowest tire price period, Bell Tire. It is a warm but beautiful night for baseball here in the Motor City. Tigers and Athletics. We celebrate the 30th anniversary of the 1984 World Champion Tigers. On this evening here at the ballpark as Coco Crisp stands in for the Athletics. There's a strike called on Coco Crisp. He'll be followed by John Jaso and then Yoenis Cespedes. Crisp a two-bagger to start the game, but they just couldn't score him. Later in the inning, they had a hit batter. Stranded a couple in that first inning to the A's.
Man, Coco Crisp, outstanding leadoff hitter, and when he is playing well, the Oakland Athletics, they just go. Lots of base hits. He's got power. He steals bases.
Man, oh man, there's another hit for Crisp. He's 2 for 2. Well, we have a chance. Time for a game break. We check in with Mickey York.
All right, the Rays in New York taking on the Yankees in this Chrysler game break. Former Tiger Matt Joyce was 5 for 6 with 2 home runs yesterday. Continues the hot streak today. Top of the first. Takes David Phelps high and deep to right. That's gone for a home run. 1-0 Rays. They tacked on another run. Now 2-0 Tampa in the third. Guys.
All right, Mick, thank you. Leadoff man on for the Athletics here in a scoreless contest as we play in the third.
Crisp has 13 steals this year. He's only been caught twice. Something Anibal Sanchez has gotten better at, and that's giving Avila an opportunity to throw. Last year, Sanchez wasn't very good at limiting the stolen bases against him when he was on the mound. Oakland is not leading the league in steals, but their percentage is exceptional. And they have stolen 47 bases, and they've only been caught 9 times.
Well, they get on base a lot, so they have plenty of opportunities to steal. They lead the majors in walks.
They pick the right spots to run in.
Jaso, as we look at the numbers on Coco Crisp, 80%. Jaso started the month of June poorly, but in his last 10 games, hitting almost 400. The 0-1. Bouncer right back to the mound, and bobbled by Sanchez. His only play is to first. There's nobody covering third, so Suarez bolts down there.
Anibal Sanchez got ahead of himself. He was going to try to get the out at second base to try to get the double play, and he didn't handle the baseball, but he didn't panic. Picked it up and fired a strike over to Miggy, and good heads up baseball by Suarez, knowing that Castellanos was over in right field because of the shift. He was able to get to third base to make sure that Crisp didn't entertain the thought of getting over there.
So the Athletics have a man at second. One out here is Yoenis Cespedes. He was hit by a pitch in the hand in his first at bat. He's got a 13-game hitting streak, which is a career high. Swing and a miss. Cespedes has also been lighting it up with his arm defensively. He's made a couple of just eye-popping throws from the outfield.
He has got one of the best arms in baseball. He's playing left field these days, but he's got a right fielder's arm.
The A's outfield by and large has had a really good year at throwing runners out. They have racked up a lot of assists this year. That one is fouled back.
Josh Reddick, who just went on the disabled list with a knee issue. He's also another one of their defenders that has a really good arm in the outfield when he's out there.
23 assists, which is the second most in the majors. Cespedes has 10 of those.
I thought they would be behind the Kansas City Royals, but they're behind the Arizona Diamondbacks.
No balls, 2 strikes. High pop-up, shallow right field, long run for Torrey and Kinsler. Who wants it? Kinsler does, and the runner holds, 2 outs.
We showed you when these two hooked up in May. We gave you a glimpse of what Kazmir looked that night. Anibal Sanchez was tremendous too. He had a good fastball. He was commanding, and he was first pitch strike on just about every single hitter. He was changing levels with the fastball up, and then he worked down with some real good breaking balls and changeups. He did a very nice job, but he did throw a lot of fastballs that day to the Oakland Athletics hitters.
8 1/3 that day through 111 pitches and struck out 9 Oakland Athletics. He gave up just 3 hits, and when you throw a game like that and you lose, awfully disappointing.
If you like pitching, that may have been one of the best days of the year for both teams. Both guys really showed up that day.
One ball, no strikes on Brandon Moss. 2-0 the count. Coco Crisp down in second, 2 outs, no score in the opener of a 3-game set between these two teams. Here's the 2-0. Pulled on the ground, foul. 2-1 on Moss. Flat out to right his first time up. Really has not had a whole lot of success in his career against Sanchez, just 2 for 15. Anibal has had to pitch out of trouble in each of the first 3 innings. And the 2-1. Low and away, 3 balls and 1 strike.
And this might be a situation where Anibal Sanchez has got the open base. He's not going to get beat by Moss in this situation. Even though Donaldson in the on-deck circle is having a good year, overall he has been struggling lately.
Yeah, that seems to be a part of the thought process here. It's kind of hard to think that you would pitch around a guy to get to Donaldson, but he has been struggling. Swing and a miss, 3-2.
Real nice changeup there at 87 miles an hour thrown by Anibal Sanchez in a fastball count. Location, location, location.
Here's the 3-2. High towering fly ball to center field. Jackson is on the move. He'll get there to retire the side. When we come back, we'll talk with 84 champ Dave Berkman, who authored that big 13 pitch at bat back in '84. We'll be back to talk about that and more. Here come the Tigers now as we go to the bottom of the 3rd inning in a scoreless ball game here at the ballpark. And again, we're celebrating the 30th anniversary of the 1984 championship Tigers. And it's always a pleasure to be joined by Dave Berkman, who was a big part of that championship team. David, and Rod and I were talking about how incredible it is to be on that infield and see all these people in these seats. It's kind of overwhelming, isn't it?
It really is. After all these years, these people still remember our team, 1984, and there were so many comments today in the Q&A at the concourse on how much the fans really meant to us, and that's so true. It really was. I mean, they were absolutely incredible night after night.
But Dave, you're one of few. I mean, because most guys, I mean, they come to a city, then they go back to their respective hometowns, and they don't really have anything to do with that particular city other than during the baseball season. But you actually moved here, and you've been here year-round for a number of years, haven't you?
I moved here after the 1984 season and been here ever since. In fact, I bought a home thinking that I would only be here for about 3 or 4 years because I was on basically a 3 or 4 year program. After the 3rd or 4th year, I was gone. They figured out I couldn't play and they traded me someplace else. But it didn't work that way here in Detroit, and I was very thankful for that. Got a chance to play my last 9 years here, retire here, and I'm trying to be very active in the community and trying to be good to some of the kids and
You are.
see what happens.
And mine is one of them, and I do appreciate that. It was good for him to play in your organization. But, you know, Dave, I know that you love giving back to the community, and certainly this community appreciated you. But when you think back to that '84 season, the one thing, obviously, that all people want to talk about is the at-bat against the Toronto Blue Jays, the 13-pitch at-bat. And we want to go back to that because, obviously, that had to be one of the things you really remember about that year.
Well, I'm almost forced to remember it because that's what people want to talk about. But I'm very thankful that they do, because I'm sure we can go back and find out when I struck out with the bases loaded. So as Rod can tell you, sometimes it's better to be lucky than good, or be at the right place at the right time, or however you want to say it. And fortunately, that's what people remember me about. And I'm very thankful for that.
You know, when you came to the Tigers at the tail end of the spring that year,
Jackson lifting this one to right field for out number 1.
did you know much about the Tigers overall as a team? Sparky Anderson, many of the players, obviously it was a great team, but did you know a lot about the team before you came over at the tail end of spring training that season?
Rod, all I can tell you is that they were good. That's all I knew, because they had a real good season in '83. I knew about Sparky Anderson because he was in the National League when I was there. Of course, I knew Darrell Evans and Larry Herndon, and both of those guys were like, I don't want to call them mentors for me when I was in San Francisco, because I was a little bit more veteran than that, but just great role models. Larry Herndon was very quiet, led by example, and Darrell Evans was a little bit more vocal. And of course, I played against Jack Morris and Lance Parrish and Tommy Brookins in winter baseball, so I had a little bit of knowledge about the club, but I really had no idea what I was getting myself into. And boy, I really enjoyed the ride, that's for sure.
Dave, what makes a good pinch hitter? Because obviously you excelled at it in the big leagues. In your mind, it's a difficult job, I would assume. What makes it so tough, and what makes a good pinch hitter?
I think being mentally prepared and never giving into failure. There's a lot of failure in the game, and if you let pinch hitting determine how your mental ego is going to be, it can really eat you up. And if you do make an out, you've got to learn from that out, and you got to be prepared the next day. You can't let it go from one day to the other, and there's no excuses as a pinch hitter. You know, sometimes you might go a week without getting in a bat, and the next thing you know, you're hitting in the 9th inning against the best reliever and pitcher, and if you make an out, you made an out. So you got to figure out ways to keep yourself prepared.
Ian Kinsler, the batter here, with 2 outs in the 3rd.
What's your take on this 2014 Tiger squad, Dave?
Well, it's pretty simple. I'm going to tell the listeners, go to www.sigmainvestments.com. Go to publications and look at my newsletter that I wrote for our clients that is titled From Snowballs to Baseballs, and that'll give you an analysis at that time of what I thought the club looked like. But I will tell your listeners that my last comment was, enjoy the season. I would suggest that you think about buying your World Series tickets now.
Wow. So you feel they do have that potential?
I absolutely do. I like the fact that they've got some pop in the lineup. I like the fact that they've got some speed in the lineup. I'm hoping that this defense will start to come around a little bit. We all have confidence that the starting pitching staff is going to become rock solid, hopefully from here to the remainder of the season. And as far as I'm concerned, that's a pretty good combination.
Kinsler batting here with 2 outs in a scoreless game. Casimir's 0-2. It's floated into right field. That thing is sinking, and it's going to drop base hit. Kinsler will hold up with a 2-out single.
Talk about Sparky Anderson for a moment, and how influential was he for you in your career after you became a Tiger?
I walked into the Joker Marchand Stadium when I was traded, and I think there was only about a week left of spring training. And he called me into his office, and he says, are you ready to get 250 at-bats this year? And I made him repeat it. I said, excuse me? He says, are you ready to get 250 at-bats? And I said, absolutely. I said, Sparky, I got to tell you, a manager's never said that to me before. I never knew if I was going to get 5 at-bats or 300 at-bats or whatever the case may be. Now, that being said, Frank Robinson played me. And but he never said that, you know, I'm going to guarantee that you're going to get 250 at-bats.
You're talking about 250 at-bats with Darrell Evans as the first baseman.
Well, you know, Darrell played third, DH. Sparky moved us around, and, you know, he threw me out in the outfield back then a little bit. And so, he made sure that we got our at-bats. And I was certainly thankful for that. In fact, my first at-bat as a Tiger, I popped out foul territory 3 times against the Minnesota Twins. I didn't even have to get out of the batter's box, and I said, well, I'm going to be seeing the Pine for about a week. And I maybe even played the next day. I don't remember.
Well, you had a chance to play for Sparky. Obviously, Brad Ausmus, no managing experience, but he seems to have a really good grasp on what that job is all about.
He's a very cerebral manager. He's very, very calm. There was a period of time, though, I would have liked to have seen him come unglued, maybe, just to kind of see if we can get something going here. But that's just not his style, and I don't know Brad very well. Just maybe enough to say hello. I don't know a lot about his personality. You guys obviously know him a heck of a lot better than I do. But that even keel is really a good trait to have as a manager.
No balls, 1 strike on Miguel Cabrera. We're talking with Dave Bergman of the 1984 champion Tigers, who are being celebrated here tonight, the 30th anniversary of the '84 Tigers. And they got him picked off. Kinsler on his way to second. Ball is dropped at first by Vogt, and he'll get in there safely. Put a runner in scoring position now for the Tigers.
That'll be the second steal of the evening for the Detroit Tigers. Kinsler gets one. Castellanos also got one. Kinsler just kept going. And Voigt couldn't make the transfer out of the glove to get the ball to second base, and Kazmir a little bummed about that.
Vogt was a late defensive switch. He's playing first base. They flip-flopped with Moss. Moss is out in right field, so that comes into play in this game. Vogt dropped the baseball.
He's one of those guys that's very versatile that we were talking about that Bob Melvin has at his disposal. He started one game in right field, played first base, and he also caught in the same game.
What is your take, Dave, on the guy at the plate right now in Miguel Cabrera?
I'm going to go on record as saying he might be one of the top 5 best hitters that's ever played the game.
Probably wouldn't get many arguments.
None, not from me.
And I will go on record saying that, in my opinion, he's the best hitter in baseball today. He's got tremendous balance, hits to all fields, got great power. You very seldom see him take a bad swing. And the thing that I'm the most impressed with him is that he has fun and he works very hard at the game.
That'll get foul down the right field line.
And he works probably harder on defense than he does on offense. And think about this. He's a superstar. We've already got him pretty well pegged for the Hall of Fame. If the Tigers ask him to play third, he'll play third. Play left, he'll play left. He doesn't care. Whatever's best for the team.
He just wants to play. He's always got that smile on his face. He absolutely loves playing this game.
Of course, you know what, Rod? You can relate to this. If you're as good as he is, you're going to have fun playing this game.
Dave, we appreciate it. Thanks so much for coming on with us. Congratulations again on the celebration tonight, and thank you very much.
Thanks so much for having me, guys.
All right. 84 champ Dave Bergman. The last out of the '84 championship. Larry Herndon comes in to make the running catch. And the party began.
How would I pitch to Miggy?
If I'm facing Miguel Cabrera, hopefully I got a 10-run lead.
Let me think about that for a minute. I got nothing.
I'm walking him.
Smart guys.
Friday, July 4th, the Tigers host the Rays. The first 10,000 fans 21 and older receive a Tigers Stars and Stripes tumbler courtesy of Miller Lite. Don't miss the post-game fireworks presented by Pepsi. For tickets, go to tigers.com.
No score as we go to the top of the 4th inning. We check in with Shannon Hogan, who has more on a dream come true for an '84 Tigers fan.
That's right. Dick Runchie here, longtime Tigers fan. What happened in 1984 that changed your life a little bit?
Well, I tell you, it was a great experience. I got to umpire the 1984 American League playoff, the last game in Detroit, where Detroit beat Kansas City 1-0. And then just living the dream.
The umpires went on strike, so you got put in the last minute.
Yes, the American League asked us to work. We were college umpires, and they asked us to fill in. So it was last minute.
The World Series comes back. You're in Detroit. Now you're a fan. Game 5. What was most memorable about that for you?
Oh, definitely. The thrill was Kirk Gibson. I umpired Kirk when he was at Michigan State. And then to see him up there and hit that long home run was a thrill that I'll never forget. And the way the fans reacted, the city of Detroit, state of Michigan, it was just a tremendous event that happened.
Well, thanks for your time, Dick. Enjoy the game.
Great.
Enjoy the 84 Tigers ceremony, and we'll see you soon at Comerica Park.
All right, thank you.
Ryan Rattles, let it back up to you.
Hey, Shannon, great find there. Nicely done. How about that, man? Going from umpiring college baseball to umpiring a playoff game.
And he also umpired in games where Gibby was in college. So, yeah, I'm sure he's got fond memories of that. But I'm sure there are quite a few people in attendance here tonight that have some very fond memories of the 84 squad.
Josh Donaldson leading it off here in the 4th inning in a scoreless game. The 2-2 is low. Yet one more thing, Shannon.
You guys, one more thing about Dick. Great guy. Just wanted to say hi. Didn't even want to necessarily talk too much today. He was the first umpire ever inducted into the College Baseball Hall of Fame. That was back in 2011. A huge honor for him. Huge Michigan State guy. And he mentioned, obviously, Kirk Gibson. His son, Cam, is now playing at Michigan State.
Awesome. Thanks, Shannon. That's grounded foul down the third base line. What a thrill it must have been. And obviously 84 has provided many thrills in different ways. And that's certainly a unique way. And a neat story. Stephen Vogt is waiting on deck. Donaldson hit into a force on a great play in the first inning by Suarez, who saved a run. And a ground ball hit back up the middle. Donaldson lines this one to left field. Rajay Davis spinning around, making the catch. Donaldson 0 for 2, one gone in the 4th. Now Stephen Vogt. Sanchez is still looking for that first 1, 2, 3 inning. He faced 2 base runners in the first, 1 in the second, 1 in the third, but has kept the Athletics off the board. Vogt had a single to start things off in the second. And he looks at a strike, 0-1. It's really interesting to see matchups like this, Rod, because you've got the team that walks the most in the major leagues against the guy Sanchez that real stingy with the base on balls.
That's why first pitch strikes are imperative tonight for Anibal Sanchez, because it allows him to expand the strike zone and it forces some of the Oakland Athletics to kind of get out of their comfort zone. He makes them change. He's already 10 of 15 in first pitch strikes.
Only 7 walks in his last 7 starts for Anibal. That's driven to center field, base hit.
They could hit, though. They could just flat out hit.
Yeah, Stephen Vogt's 2 for 2. Hey, join us again tomorrow in the middle game in this series with the Athletics. Our coverage begins at 6 o'clock with Tigers Live. It's Tigers and Athletics tomorrow night at 6 p.m. You can see it right here on Fox Sports Detroit. Here's Jed Lowry. Lowry looks at ball 1 outside. And, Sanchez now has reached the 50 mark, and here's the ratio through 50.
And the majority of them strikes. 32 strikes, just 18 have missed the strike zone.
Is lifted in the air to shallow center field. Jackson coming on, stretching out and making the catch.
You don't see that very often. You don't see Austin Jackson leave his feet very often, but a real nice play by Austin Jackson.
There are times, Rod, where you and I will say, why didn't he stretch out for that ball? And that's why, because he can do it.
And the crowd is giving him a nice round of applause.
And you got to believe Sanchez appreciates it. So with 2 outs, nice diving play by Austin Jackson. Yeah, maybe I could do it. Here's Callaspo. Strike called.
Jackson had one of those smiles on his face like, look at me, Mom.
No balls, one strike.
You know, that's been a criticism of Austin Jackson's in the past, that he just won't leave his feet on some close plays. But, you know, he gets such great jumps, takes such great routes. Very seldom does he really have to leave his feet. There has been some occasions where he probably should have. And I would ask him the next day, why don't you dive for that ball? He says, I just don't dive. I don't feel comfortable doing it. If I can't catch it staying on my feet, then it's probably not a catchable ball. And to his defense, he does run down everything in center field, but it's encouraging to see him start to incorporate leaving his feet on that particular play.
Do you think a part of it is maybe an innate fear to have the ball roll by you?
No, I don't think that's what it is.
There goes the runner, by the way. And the throw down to second, going to be legs.
To be perfectly honest with you, you have a trio of outfielders out there right now that are going to be fighting for playing time. The way that J.D. Martinez has been swinging that stick, I think you're going to get the best out of Rajay, Austin, and Torrey as we move forward, because these guys were the starters when the season began, and they've become somewhat of a platoon system now for Brad Austin. So you're going to see the best out of these outfielders as we move forward in the season. Okay. No one wants to sit on that bench.
Callaspo has a chance to drive in a run with 2 outs. Pickoff throw. Going to get off the glove of Suarez, but not far enough. One ball, one strike. No runs, 4 hits for the A's. No runs, 2 hits for Detroit. Count now goes to 2 balls, 1 strike on Callaspo.
I told you earlier that Callaspo is a very dangerous hitter in these types of situations. Runner in scoring position, 2 outs, puts the ball in play, doesn't strike out very often.
Sogard on deck.
And which means that Anibal Sanchez should force Callaspo into hitting his pitch. Don't give in to him.
2-2.
That changeup is such a weapon for Sanchez.
Not a good looking swing there by Callaspo. And his reaction validates that. A quick little chat with Avila.
Well, Vogt out at second base is a catcher. And so any sequence that Avila puts down, because he's been out there for a couple of batters now, if he was cheating and he wanted to relay signs to Callaspo, he is capable of doing so. So Avila went out there to change the signs.
How many pitches do you think it takes to realize what a sequence is?
A catcher, only a couple of pitches. Middle infielders, maybe 2 or 3. But Vogt in this case, after Avila goes through one sequence and then he goes through the next sequence, the next pitch, Vogt knows exactly what the signs are.
3-2. Swing and a miss. Struck him out to end the inning. First strikeout of the ball game. Austin Jackson helped out Sanchez with this diving catch.
For Tigers baseball.
Well, we celebrate the 1984 World Champions. Jack Morris was awfully good, but so was this guy. Dan Petrie won 18 ball games back in 1984. Part of a staff that really got it done for the Detroit Tigers, and it's always a pleasure to be joined by the guy they call Peaches, Dan Petrie, a Southern California guy who migrated to the Motor City. We're able to pitch here in Detroit and pitch in the World Series, Dan, and obviously a great throw for you. Thanks for taking time and coming up here. But these events, I don't know what you can say about these events. I mean, look at this ballpark. It's jam-packed, and all of a sudden, here you are in front of all these people. It's got to be a great feeling.
And, you know, we've had several of these over the years, these reunions of the 84 championship. And for me, today was the most special. I mean, no Sparky Anderson, and we would have loved for Sparky to be here, but I'm talking about the same thing you did. The fans and the excitement in that concourse. When you guys were down there asking questions, there was a ton of people down there. No doubt.
J.D. Martinez leading things off here in the bottom of the fourth as we chat with Dan Petrie. And Dan, we mentioned you won 18 ball games that year, and a lot of attention was paid to Jack Morris, and deservedly so. But you were kind of the quiet guy in that rotation that just in a workmanlike manner went out. You won 18 ball games, and you know that was just kind of the way you went about your business, wasn't it? Right.
Hey, Peaches, obviously I came to the organization that particular year and made the team out of spring training, but you had already been in the organization. But did you see that type of season coming? I mean, obviously you can't predict 35-5, but did you see that type of season and confidence coming that year?
Torrey Hunter, the batter here with one out. He strokes one in the air to center field. Hit pretty well. On the run is Coco Chris. He'll track it down for out number 2.
You have a couple of really good center fielders in play here today with Chris and Jackson.
Good running catch there by Coco. Well, here's some numbers on Dan Petrie. 119 wins, 3.84 ERA, and here's a number: 48 complete games with the Tigers. 48. I mean, it's kind of a lost stat these days, isn't it?
Yeah, that surprises me.
Hey, talk about Roger Craig for a moment, who was the pitching coach on that 84 team, because obviously Sparky was Sparky, but Roger Craig was just tremendous at stealing signs, and obviously his pitchers had a very good year.
Really?
No doubt, stop it.
2-0 on Castellanos, and he looks at a ball.
I used to sit next to him, too, because I didn't play that much. I sat on the bench a lot, and after about 3 or 4 batters, Sparky would look over at Roger Craig and say, "You got the signs yet?" And Roger would say, "I got him, Sparky."
Really? So when Lance was young, Sparky would call a lot of his pitches? Roger would. Oh, okay. Well, you guys all kind of grew up together, and that's the one thing that people don't realize. Yes, there were some guys that came over like Willie Hernandez, Dave Bergman, and some changes were made as the season went on, but this was kind of a core group that grew up together.
Right. Yeah, that got me over there. I mean, just to make that team, I mean, from minor league spring training was amazing, especially with the core group that you guys had. And I'm just happy that I was able to get a few hits and contribute while I was there.
Right. One ball, one strike on Alex Avila. Tigers and A's are scoreless here as we celebrate the 30th anniversary of the '84 championship team. Of course, the last Tigers team to win a World Series.
Peaches, what kind of advice could you give the young kids out there at building arm strength? Do you like the changeup? Do you like the slider? You had a great slider. Would you impress kids to throw that pitch?
Avila bounces out to end the inning. Always a pleasure, Dan. Don't be a stranger, man. Pop in the booth anytime you want. All right. Dan Petrie, part of the '84 championship team, big member of the Tigers staff.
Are you hungry for more Tigers baseball? Prepare to feast on the A's on Fox Sports Detroit.
Tigers baseball on Fox Sports Detroit is brought to you by the Sam Bernstein Law Firm, official legal services sponsor of Fox Sports Detroit, and by the new Chevy Silverado light duty and heavy duty lineup. Well, it's a scoreless game as we go to the top of the 5th inning. We apologize. Apparently, Dan Petrie's mic was not working. They could hear us, Rob, but they couldn't hear Dan. Now, that was the same mic that Berge was using.
It was, and Peaches was so good, we might have to go run him down so he could come back. I mean, he gave us a lot of great stuff regarding the '84 team.
Well, we apologize for that. We'll check our headset in the meantime. Anibal Sanchez goes back to work, and Anibal here in the 5th inning will face Eric Sogard to start things off. Sogard is 0 for 1. He'll be followed by Crisp and then Jaso. There's a bouncer back up the middle. Suarez to his left. Sogard is out. He's 0 for 2. 1 gone.
Now this game is shaping up just the way the game shaped up when the Tigers made a trip out to Oakland earlier this season, and the game was also pitched by Sanchez and Scott Kazmir. There were a lot of goose eggs on the scoreboard.
Yeah, no surprise as to what's going down here tonight. 0-0 in the 5th.
Alan Trammell was telling a story today about Brad Ausmus. He said he played with Brad. He said he also coached Brad in 1999, the last season at Tiger Stadium. Alan Trammell was a hitting coach on that particular team, and then they both were neighbors out in San Diego. Occasionally they do lunch. They get together quite often. They're very good friends.
No balls and 1 strike on Coco Crisp. Well, it was fun to see Tram back here at the ballpark along with Lou Whitaker. Sanchez ready with the 0-1. They have not been able to keep Coco off the bases. Single and a double. Yet he has not scored. Here's the 1-1 pitch. There must be, Rod, some intangibles to this Oakland A's team to help them win, because in their last 20 games, they've won 13 of them, yet Lowry, Moss, Donaldson, none of them are hitting.
Well, they figure out ways to win games. Obviously, they got a really good pitching staff. They're led by Bob Melvin. He's very smart. He's very prepared. Billy Bean is the architect of the team. He's their general manager. They go out and they find guys who not necessarily have success in other places, but they bring them to Oakland, and they platoon a lot of guys, and they just put guys in the best.
On the run, still going back. Austin will have room at the warning track. 2 outs. Well, in that last 20 game stretch, the rotation's ERA is over 4, so they're still finding ways to win games.
They did play some games against the Mets and the Marlins, although those guys are doing okay. I mean, they weren't necessarily beating on household teams in this league.
John Jaso standing in. Well, we understand now that our audio is now affecting our mics, Rod. So we apologize to fans listening in. We're working feverishly to get our audio problems fixed. The roller foul down the first base line. 1 ball and 1 strike on John Jaso. Pop up at a ground out. They play Jaso to pull on the infield. Everybody around to the right is second base with the exception of one defender, and that would be the shortstop Suarez. He pops that one a mile high. Shallow right field. Hunter coming in. And Sanchez continues to cruise along. That's a 1-2-3 inning. Tigers baseball presented by Bell Tire. Time now for you to tweet your photo using hashtag #DetroitFanPhoto for a chance to have it shown in an upcoming game broadcast. It is brought to you by AT&T. Back here at the ballpark, the Tigers and the A's are hooked up in a pitching duel, which we thoroughly expected, considering the fact that it's both Kazmir and Sanchez dueling again here tonight, as they did earlier this season in Oakland. Eugenio Suarez will lead things off. It'll be Suarez, Jackson, and then Rajai Davis.
And Kazmir coming off his roughest start of the season against the New York Mets just 5 days ago, lasted just 3 innings and gave up 7 earned runs to the New York Mets, and he gave up 3 homers in the contest.
Well, he's been able to shake off that appearance and has allowed just 2 Tigers hits in this game. Suarez 0 for 1 with a ground out.
Kazmir has also done his best work against the American League Central. He is 3-0 against the Central, 6-3 against the rest of baseball.
No balls, 1 strike on Suarez. Average at .292 now for the Detroit shortstop. Ball missing low, 1 ball, 1 strike. Again, the audio is not up to our standards. We apologize for that. We are working to fix the audio problem in our broadcast tonight. Hang with us. Here's the 1-1. Fouled straight back out of play, 1-2. Scott Kazmir, 30 years old now. He has won 10 games before the All-Star break just once. That was back in 2006. He is attempting to do that again this year. And a strike 3 called on Suarez.
He's got a real good feel for his breaking ball and his changeup today. And he's been racking up some strikeouts. The majority of his strikeouts have come on the fading changeup down and away, but he did strike out Suarez with a breaking ball that was down and in that time. So just a real nice job today so far by Kazmir, keeping the Tigers hitters off balance.
Remember when Kazmir was the guy that would just throw it by you?
Yep, he exerted a lot of energy. He did rack up a lot of strikeouts, but he didn't last very long in games because his pitch count was always so high because he was striking out a lot of batters. He's learned how to pitch now.
Led the league in strikeouts 1 year with the Rays. There's a ball high to Jackson.
He had to go spend some time in independent ball a couple of years ago, and then he followed that up with a stint in winter ball just to get an invite to the Cleveland Indians spring training as a non-roster invitee. That was just last year. But look at him now.
Here's the 1-1. 2 balls, 1 strike. Well, I know he had a good year with Cleveland last year, but there still had to be a little part of the A's wondering if he could duplicate that again this year when they decided to go out and sign him.
They are very good at bringing people to their organization from other places that they feel will have success in their ballpark.
A sharp line drive caught by Sogard at second.
Austin Jackson came out and took some extra batting practice today with the hitting coach Wally Joyner, and Brad Ausmus was also watching while Jackson was taking that batting practice. And today he's had 2 good plate appearances. Nothing to show for it yet, but he lined out to right field. Then he lined out right there to second base. So at least he's taking a real good path with his hands today.
Here is Rodgers. He drives one to left field. That's going to drop, base hit. And Davis, who had struck out twice against the lefty, singles to left. Tigers had just their 3rd hit of the game. That'll bring up Ian Kinsler. Single back in the 3rd by Kinsler. Batting .308 now. He's 1 for 2 in this game. Wave and a foul back to the screen. 0-1. Hey, by the way, just a reminder, as you enjoy a cold one to look forward to Miller time later in tonight's game, it's brought to you by Miller Lite. .77 pitches for Kazmir. He's thrown a lot of strikes in this one. That one missed high, and the count goes to 1-1.
Hey, use the slide step there with the speedy Rajai Davis on first base. He had been giving everybody else the high leg kick, but a real quick slide step there. And because of the slide step, he left that ball up and out of the strike zone. Arm never caught up.
21 steals for Davis, which puts him second behind Jose Altuve, who was just running wild in that 3-game series against Detroit. Kinsler waiting on the 1-1. And Davis draws another throw. Now they got him picked off. Snap throw down, and he's safe. It was a wide throw by Vogt. That's the 2nd time that has happened tonight.
Kazmir's move is so slow and so deliberate that by the time he gets the ball to the first baseman, Moss had to really fire that ball to the shortstop, and because of that, he threw wildly to Sogard. Sogard did a nice job of just catching the baseball and trying to make a tag on Rajai Davis, but Kazmir is way too slow with his move over to first base. It's an ugly-looking slide, too, by Rajai Davis.
The spikes are flying and everything.
Jeez.
A's were thinking about challenging that, but they took a look at the video. Correct call was made.
3rd steal already of the day for the Tigers.
So Davis now has 22, trailing Jose Altuve.
I just cringe when you say that name.
There's a bouncing ball to 3rd, fair ball deep behind the bag. And Callaspo's throw is dug out at first base by Vogt. That'll end the inning. No runs, 1 hit, a steal, and a man left.
Well, the difficulties continue down at Comerica Park, so here's everybody's worst nightmare. Mickey York gets to do play-by-play for you tonight. Suspendus with a leadoff single here to start off the top of the 6th in a 0-0 game so far between the Tigers and the Oakland A's. We're going to get you back to Mario and Rod as soon as possible, and that'd be good for all of us, believe me. Sanchez with a toss over to first to try to keep Suspendus close. Another toss back to first. Brandon Moss in the box, awaiting Sanchez's first pitch. Moss 0 for 2 so far on the night. That one hit hard into right. Moss on base with a single. Suspendus will hold at second. So the first 2 batters have reached base here in the 6th for the Oakland A's. That'll bring up Vogt, who's already 2 for 2 on the night. Check that, Josh Donaldson, who's 0 for 2 now at the plate. First and second, nobody out, top of the 6th, no score between the A's and Tigers here in the first of 3 at Comerica Park. Ball 1 to Donaldson, low and inside. .71 pitches for Sanchez through the first 5 innings, still in relatively good shape in the pitch count department. Sanchez second pitch in there for a strike to even the count at 1-1. Again, if you're just joining us, audio difficulties down at Comerica Park tonight. We'll get you back to Mario and Rod as soon as we establish communication with them. Ball 2. Count goes to 2-1 now on Donaldson. Nobody out here in the top of the 6th. Still no score between the Tigers and the A's. Moss and Suspendus, your base runners. As Sanchez gets ready to deliver the 2-1 pitch. That one down and low. He goes to 3-1. And I'm no longer alone. Craig Monroe has joined the broadcast. Yeah, you just had a lot of experience doing this in Texas, so you're in good shape here.
It's always a fun time, but this is under different circumstances here.
This isn't exactly how we would draw it up.
Definitely not how we would draw it up.
That one hit high and deep to right. Hunter back to the warning track. Puts a grab on it. Cespedes will tag up and move to third. So runners at first and third. Now with 1 out in the 6th. And Craig, Sanchez has been pitching in some stress throughout most of the night, but has been able to work himself out of these jams so far. And finds himself in another one here with runners at first and third and just 1 out.
Well, Mick, that's what the good pitchers do. When they get themselves into trouble, they bear down. They're able to make pitches and be able to execute those pitches to get out of jams. And that's what Sanchez is doing, and that's what he'll have to do here with Brandon Moss, who's been swinging the bat extremely hot. Actually, this is not Brandon Moss.
No, that's Vogt in the box now.
Vogt. Yeah. Sorry about that.
And he's 2 for 2 against Sanchez tonight. So far, Annabelle has not had an answer for him. First pitch catches the inside corner. He gets ahead of Vogt, so that's a good sign in this situation. Sanchez getting the signs reveal as he looks in on the 0-1 pitch. Foul back. Quickly ahead of Vogt here.
Well, that's exactly what Sanchez wanted to do there, and that's what he needed to do to get ahead of Vogt in this situation, especially with guys at the corner. Now he can expand the strike zone, make him put him away. A strikeout right here would be huge.
Jed Lowry on deck. He's 0 for 2 on the night so far. Yeah, Sanchez, as we talked about, has had himself in a couple of jams so far throughout this game, but able to wiggle out of them each time. He'll try to do it again here in the top of the 6th. Now the 0-2 pitch. Foul back. Vogt stays alive.
Looked like he tried to climb the ladder there. Not a good spot. And if he's going to go up in the strike zone, especially with a fastball, he'll have to climb the ladder a little bit more. On an 0-2 pitch, that's a little bit too close for comfort there for Sanchez. He's going to have to bury the slider down and in or something here.
Yeah, ideally, if he's going to hit it, you want him to hit it somewhere on the ground, so in the hopes you can turn 2 here. The 0-2 pitch now to Vogt. That one fouled back. Vogt stays alive and continues to push that pitch count up to 79 pitches now for Sanchez.
Well, that's what the Oakland Athletics do. Up and down their lineup, they're very patient. They work the count. They make pitchers, I mean, they make pitchers make pitches, and Sanchez will have to make a pitch here. They don't give any at-bats away, Mick. They grind their at-bats out.
You know, they are pesky, and you look up and down their order, and you don't see anybody in there with hitting over 300, yet this team scores more runs than anybody in baseball. This one popped up into shallow left field. Rajay Davis coming out, able to make the catch. All runners will hold, so a big out there for Sanchez.
He's been doing that all night, though, for me. A lot of fly ball outs. Pitching to the ballpark, keeping these guys off balance, speeding them up with a good fastball, 94, 95 miles per hour, and then really slowing them down when he gets those guys looking for that breaking ball or that fastball with a really good breaking ball, and has really done a good job of keeping them off balance, getting them out on that front foot.
Jed Lowry now with an opportunity, 0 for 2 on the night, hitting .216 on the season. So 2 outs now, runners still on the corners for the A's. Still looking for our first run in this ball game. Of course, the Tigers hoping it doesn't come here. First pitch to Lowry is low and outside, ball 1.
Want to be careful here in a 1-0 count. Even though Lowry has struggled this season, he's a guy that, I mean, through up and down their lineup, they have different guys on a nightly basis coming through in this situation. Sanchez will still have to bear down with 2 strikes and make some quality pitches.
You know, Lowry, by the way, 1 for 13 in his career against Sanchez. And he fouls back that pitch there to even the count at 1-1. Again, if you're wondering what the heck you're listening to right now, it's Mickey York and Craig Monroe filling in on the play-by-play because we've had some terrible audio difficulties down at the ballpark tonight. Our apologies for that. Our apologies for having to listen to us during this 6th inning. Hopefully this doesn't go on much longer and Mario and Rod get back on the microphone here momentarily.
I mean, they might like listening to us, though.
I highly doubt it. Maybe you. Ball inside. 2-1 now, the count to Lowry.
We're not pros at this, but I mean, come on.
It's not my thing.
Well, you're making it look easy over there,
no,
sir.
No, it's not. Do you see the sweat rings right now? That one hit well into the gap in right center. It's going to drop. Cespedes will come in to score with the first run of the game. The A's have him at first and second with 2 outs now in the top of the 6th.
Really not a bad 2-1 pitch there. That fastball's on the inside part of the plate. I mean, he got it inside. Look at this pitch right here. Give Lowry a lot of credit. That ball's, I mean, on the inside corner, pulls his hands inside and drops one over into center field for a base hit and drives in the first run of the game.
And we don't want to hear about why didn't Austin Jackson die for that one. Nobody would have been able to die to catch that one. But what a great grab by him earlier in the ball game.
I'm so excited to see Austin Jackson die for that baseball. I've talked to him several times and asked that question, why he doesn't dive. Just didn't feel comfortable. So to see him do that was very nice to see.
And here's Cayaspo now at the plate, ahead in the count.
Pitchers appreciate the effort when you try to make plays, when you want to make plays, because they're not perfect all the time. They're going to make mistakes, but that's when they rely on the defense to bail them out.
That one fouled back to even the count at 1 apiece. You know, it was good to see, and, you know, we know Austin's been struggling at the plate lately. Sometimes you make a play in the field, and it transfers into your performance at the plate, and maybe that's something that gets him going, Craig.
I think it has gotten him going. I mean, I love the smile, the tip of the cap, the effort that he's had. I mean, he had to look himself in the mirror and make a decision that he had to be more aggressive on both sides, on the offensive side and the defense, and he's doing that tonight.
Casper with a high fly into right. Torrey camping under it. Should be the third out of the inning, and it is. So we'll head to the bottom of the sixth. A's with a 1-0 lead over the Tigers.
Well, it's the bottom of the sixth inning here at the ballpark. 1-0 in favor of the A's. Mario and Pemba, Ron Allen back here at the ballpark. Boy, we apologize for all of the audio difficulties we've had tonight. We also thank Mickey York and Craig Monroe, who kind of slid in as pinch hitters while we were fixing our problem. Hopefully, the audio gremlins are gone for the night.
Call Sam Studio comes in handy on nights like tonight.
That it does. So does Mickey York and Craig Monroe. We thank them again for their extra work this evening. Now we'll see what the Tigers can do here against the left-hander Scott Kazmir in the sixth.
And really, this is the second start of the season for Kazmir against the Tigers, and they have not been able to figure him out yet.
Cabrera in this ballgame has a double but a strikeout as well. Kazmir has pitched out of a little trouble tonight. Not a whole lot going on for the Tigers. There's a strike call.
He has done a lot of that today. First pitch strikes. Miggy not liking that call by Mike DeMuro. He is telling him that ball is low.
It'll be Cabrera, Martinez, JD that is, and then Torrey Hunter. Here's the 0-1 pitch. Low, 1 ball and 1 strike on Cabrera.
If you're joining us tardy today, Victor Martinez is not in the lineup. He had some side soreness during the course of batting practice today, and he was scratched. JD Martinez was inserted into his slot.
Athletics got a run on the 2-out single by Jed Lowry in the top of this sixth inning. And Miggy looks at a ball inside. 2 balls, 1 strike. We tried to hold up, couldn't do it, and now the count evens at 2-2.
Take a peek at Sogard, their second baseman. He's got a shift on Miggy, but he's playing out behind the second base bag, and that gives him some room to maneuver this way, or he can maneuver that way on ground ball should Miggy hit one in that direction. That's why he's playing as deep in that position.
He's hitting one deep to left instead, and he's about to tie this ball game. It is 1-1. Miguel Cabrera shoots the gap in left center field, and for Miggy, homer number 14.
It really didn't matter the way they're defending him in that particular at-bat. He figured out Kazmir and went up there and sat on 1 pitch. That's how good Miggy is. It's our bell tire pitch by pitch. He did not like the first pitch, what was called a strike, but he didn't let it affect him. This ball was down in the strike zone, called a strike by Mike DeMuro. Miggy went up there sitting on the 1 pitch that he got to finally hit out of the ballpark, and Kazmir threw him a pitch, made him look uncomfortable with the fastball. Changeup was the pitch that stayed up, and Miggy hit the ball into their bullpen.
65th RBI of the season as well. It is a 1-1 contest, and here is JD Martinez. He looks at ball 1 outside.
And Miguel has 6 homers to left, 5 the opposite way, and 3 to straightaway center field.
Kazmir now has given up 5 home runs in his last 15+ innings. After giving up just a few in his first 88, a total of 5 in his first 88. So they've been taking him deep a little bit more. And he's going to try and shake that one off. He has fallen behind 2-0 on JD Martinez. We'll see if the Cabrera home run jump starts the Tigers offense. That is just their 4th hit of the game. Swing and a miss. 2 balls, 1 strikeout, JD. Martinez has fanned a couple of times in this game. Casimir missed again. Now he's gone 3-1. Hunter waiting on deck. Here's the 3-1 pitch. Inside, lost in ball 4.
Let's take one more look at the Miguel at bat. These are the final 2 pitches. Miguel was sitting on a changeup, but he couldn't hold up on the fastball. He looked awkward doing so. And he nodded out there like, okay, you're still 1 step ahead of me, but I'm still waiting for the changeup. And he got that changeup that was up, and he was able to flip it out with the strength that he has in his bat.
Tigers trying to give this sellout crowd something to cheer about. They have with a home run by Cabrera. Now maybe some more.
How about that? A sellout crowd on a Monday night.
They've got them jammed in here for the 30th anniversary of the '84 championship team, and the Tigers and A's as well. A headlining event. Swinging a foul by Hunter, 0-1. A couple of fly balls to center field for Torrey. The A's have had a winning record in 13 consecutive months.
They are finally starting to get the respect that they deserve in baseball.
51 wins at this point will do that for you, or at least it should. Ball high. 1-1 on Torrey. Here's action. Dan Otero starting to warm up in the Oakland bullpen. Martinez drawing a throw. Leadoff home run here by Miguel Cabrera. That makes it a 1-1 contest. The Athletics got a run in the top of the inning on the 2-out RBI single by Jed Lowry. Up and in again. 2-1 on Torrey. Hunter had just 3 hits on the recent road trip for the Tigers, hoping that the homestand will pick up his bat a little bit. Average right now at 254.
And Torrey was battling that hamstring injury at the beginning of the road trip. He missed 7 games because of that hamstring injury.
Swing and a miss. 2-2. Here's the 2-2, and it's low and in. 3 balls and 2 strikes.
With all the strikeouts that Casimir has racked up today, awfully risky to start J.D. Martinez here on the 3-2 pitch with nobody out. That's a Torrey Hunter, but we'll see what instructions Brad Ausmus has passed along to J.D. Martinez.
Runner holding, and it's fouled straight back. Run on 7 hits for the A's. Tigers are on 4 hits. Still nobody out. A home run and a walk to start the inning, greeting the left-hander Scott Casimir. Who certainly has slowed down the pace considerably here in the 6th inning. Runner holds again, and again it's fouled straight back by Torrey. Back into the seats it goes. Pitch count starting to climb now for the lefty Casimir. He's at 96, and that's at least some of it courtesy of a 7-pitch at bat.
Tigers, Tigers is a team grinding out some at-bats against Kazmir, and the fact that he's got quite a few strikeouts racked up too.
Driven to center field. Coco Crisp drifting back has room right at the edge of the warning track. Runner tagging. JD coming to second base, and he is safe there. One out.
It's great hustle here by JD Martinez. We've well documented that Chris does a lot of things well on the baseball field, but throwing is not one of those. He threw that ball to the cutoff man, but the cutoff man, by the time he got the ball into the shortstop, and JD Martinez in just ahead of the tag.
Here's Castellanos trying to give the Tigers the lead now. A ball in the dirt. 1 ball, no strikes.
And Kazmir has not given Castellanos anything to hit so far here today. He's walked him twice.
Neither team really has been good with men in scoring position. The A's are 1 for 10. The Tigers are still looking for their first hit. They are 0 for 4 with runners in scoring position. And this would be a nice spot for Castellanos. Meanwhile, Kazmir apparently has something going on. Oakland trainer along with Bob Melvin coming quickly out of the Oakland dugout.
Here's the last pitch.
He held aside a little bit, but he is convinced the Oakland brainstorm that their brain trust rather, that he's okay. He starts shaking his leg a little bit too. And that right there probably got the attention.
Must be a cramp on a very hot and humid evening. And sometimes you don't hydrate enough, you can catch some cramps. And they were playing down in Florida too before they got here.
Swing and a miss.
He's not going to be able to finish this one.
1 ball, 1 strike. I don't know if they really want to mess with this. Here comes Bob Melvin.
No, he's done.
Melvin was at the top step. Now he's decided to come out. And Kazmir was walking around like he really shouldn't be pitching anymore, and they will go to the bullpen here. So that's going to be it for Kazmir, who's going to leave with an apparent injury. It's a wall side windows pitching change, and we'll be back.
Get your Tigers news daily on FoxSportsDetroit.com.
Hey, Tuesday, July 15th, baseball's best gather in Minnesota as the captain, Jarek Jeter, takes the field in his last All-Star game ever in what promised to be an emotional and unforgettable night. Special coverage begins at 4:30 on Fox Sports 1, followed by the 2014 All-Star Game, 7:30. You can see it on Fox. Home Run Derby on Monday night on ESPN. And then Tuesday, July 15th, the All-Star Game on Fox. All-Star voting through July the 3rd, so you still have a little bit of time. We have a new pitcher now for the Athletics, and that'll be the right-hander, Dan Otero.
Very difficult on right-handers. He's got a plus fastball. He's got a nice breaking ball. Those 6 wins the most by any reliever in the American League. He's done nice work for Bob Melvin out of that bullpen. 2.17 ERA for Otero.
He came up and in there and almost hit Castellanos. So Kazmir, who apparently had something go wrong with his side, he was trying to stretch it out, is now out of the ballgame.
Otero's inherited 26 base runners this year. 12 of those have come around to touch home plate.
Strike called, and the count evens now 2 balls, 2 strikes. The Oakland bullpen has allowed 2 earned runs in the last 16 innings. Chopper back to the mound. The runner will hold, and Castellanos is up. Two gone now, and here's the All-Star voting that was released today. The American League All-Stars, at this point at least, look like this.
And it looks like the Oakland Athletics are well represented with Josh Donaldson at third base, Cespedes in left field, Miggy, of course, representing Detroit.
Here is Avila now with 2 outs and a man at second. Alex strikeout, ground out. Tigers trying to take the lead here with 2 outs. 1-1 game in the 6th. Bouncing ball to first. That's a fair ball fielded there by Vogt, and that'll end the inning. So no further damage done. However, Tigers tie it up. Cabrera goes kaboom. It's a home run to make it a 1-1 game.
For Tigers baseball, prepare to feast on the A's on Fox Sports Detroit.
Mickey York of the Meyer game break. Cubs and Red Sox. Jake Arrieta was perfect into the 7th in his last start. He's at it again tonight. Brock Holt flies out to left here. Arrieta still has not allowed a Red Sox hit. Cubs lead it 2-0 in the bottom of the 7th. Now back to Mario and Rod at the ballpark.
All right, Mick, thanks. Here we have a ball game, the type of ball game we kind of expected. 1-1. Each team got a run in the 6th inning. The Tigers scored theirs on the Cabrera home run. It came to lead things off in the bottom of the 6th inning. Now to the 7th inning we go. Here is Anibal Sanchez back to the hill.
And a lot of balls in the air thrown by Anibal Sanchez so far against the swinging A's. Only 4 ground outs, just 1 strikeout so far by Sanchez.
Well, the Athletics will have the number 9 hitter Eric Sogard lead it off, and then Coco Crisp and John Jaso facing the right-hander. Sanchez delivers strike 1 on Sogard, who's 0 for 2, couple of ground ball outs. Kazmir's out of the game, but Sanchez is still in. The 0-1 is outside. 1 ball, 1 strike. Here's the 1-1 pitch. Little looper in a shallow center, but it's going to be caught by Austin Jackson, and the first out here in the top of the 7th inning. Hey, by the way, see the Tigers play the A's tomorrow or Wednesday and get the weekday value pack: 4 tickets, 4 hot dogs, 4 bags of chips, and 4 drinks, all for a discounted price. Call 866-66-TIGER or visit tigers.com. Here's Coco Crisp. A couple of hits tonight for Coco, a double, a single. Neither time was he able to come around to score. Sanchez tonight has had just 1 1-2-3 inning, and that came back in the 5th. There's been some traffic. The Athletics have 7 hits. Here's the 0-1. But outside, 1 ball, 1 strike. Now Crisp behind the count, 1-2.
A couple of real nice breaking balls to get ahead of Coco Crisp, keeping him off balance.
Should get back out of play. Castellanos runs out of room.
Here's our high-speed pitch, and it's brought to you by Xfinity. Anibal Sanchez has been all the way up to 95 today. He's touched it a couple of times. He's gone as low as 74 with his curveball.
Well, the A's have had their chances against Sanchez. They've stranded a runner in 5 of the 6 innings, including 4 times with a man in scoring position. They got their run on a 2-out single by Lowry in the 6th. That's been it. And it was a bloop hit to right field, right center field. Here's the 1-2. Chris would not chase, and the count evens now 2 balls, 2 strikes. John Jaso waiting on deck. The 2-2. Swing and a miss. Crisp is out. And Vila will throw down a complete strikeout.
All 3 strikes that Sanchez was able to record against Coco Crisp were off-speed pitches. A couple of slow breaking balls and a changeup to finish him off.
So Sanchez getting it done in a different way here today. In that loss back in May, he struck out 9 Oakland Athletics, but in this game now just 2. Mostly fly ball outs. Ball outside, 1-0 on John Jaso. Swing and a miss. Now Jaso gets ahead of the count, 3 balls and 1 strike, and that was an even 100 for Anibal Sanchez. Here's the 3-1. Line drive, left field sinking. Davis down to his knees to make the catch. 1-2-3 inning. Rajay Davis stayed with it nicely. Coming up, the Health Plus 7th inning stretch.
Are you hungry for more Tigers baseball? Prepare to feast on the A's on Fox Sports Detroit.
Hey, as promised earlier in the game, we have the AT&T fan photo of the game. Tweet your photo to #DetroitFanPhoto for a chance to be shown in an upcoming game broadcast brought to you by AT&T. 1-1 is our score as we go to the bottom of the 7th inning. Jabba Chamberlain now starting to warm up in the Detroit bullpen. Eugenio Suarez will lead it off for the Tigers. Dan Otero is still out there. Came on in the 6th after the injury to Scott Kazmir took him out of the game. Suarez, Jackson Davis facing the right-hander. Fouled off. No balls, 2 strikes. So the A's have turned this one over to their bullpen. The bullpen is second in the American League with 17 wins.
Real tough on right-handers. Otero, 208 batting average against right-handers, has not given up many home runs. 2 to righties, no home runs to left-handers. He's got some real nice arm side sink with his 2-seam fastball, about 89 to 91 miles an hour.
Here's the 1-2. Swing and a miss. Suarez down on strikes, the second time he fans tonight, the first for Otero.
Here's that fastball I was just speaking of, the late life that Otero gets arm side on his 2-seamer. That's a Rick Porcello type sinker ball there.
It's going to bring up Austin Jackson. Austin shortening to bunt, and that'll bring Callaspo into third. Bullpen ERA for the A's 2.87. Strike called. 1-1 on Jackson. 1 run, 7 hits for the Athletics. A run on 4 hits for the Tigers. Down the right field line, slicing to the corner. Back out of play.
Last season, Otero started the season in the minor leagues. He was a closer in AAA. Had quite a few saves before coming to the big leagues on June 14th. His ERA in AAA was under 1. And then he went on to pitch 33 games in the big leagues with a 1.33 ERA out of the A's bullpen.
The 1-2. Jackson stays alive. 4 Tigers hits tonight. Kinsler has a single, Cabrera double, and a homer. Rajay Davis had a base hit, stole a base in the 5th inning, and really that's about it that the Athletics have given up. Breaking ball rolled toward third. Callaspo has it. And Jackson is out. 2 up, 2 down in the 7th inning. Hey, this Sunday, July the 6th, the Tigers face the Tampa Bay Rays at 8:07. Sunday Kids Day. All kids 14 and under receive a Victor Martinez poster and enjoy free rides on the carousel and the Ferris wheel. Call 866-66-TIGER or visit tigers.com. Here's Rajay Davis. Otero missing low. Rajay singled, was picked off, but stole the base back in the 5th. He has fanned the other 2 times, and those 3 at bats against Kazmir. Shattered bat, little pop-up right back to the mound, and Otero will handle it. So it's a 1-2-3 inning for the right-hander, and we go to the 8th. Tied at 1 as we go to the 8th inning, and let's check in with Shannon Hogan, who has more on the current Tigers manager and a former Tigers manager.
That's right. We're celebrating the '84 championship team tonight, and Alan Trammell and Brad Ausmus actually played as teammates together back in 1996. That was Tram's last year as a Tiger, and of course Brad Ausmus's first year as a Tiger. It was a warm reception on the field before the game, so everybody excited to see each other. The two of them actually spent a fair amount of time together, Mario and Rod, because they both reside down in the San Diego area, so definitely have time for lunch in the off season. I'm sure they talk a lot about baseball and a lot about family and life as well. I'll set it back up to you.
All right, Shannon, thank you. I wonder if Tram surfs.
I don't think Tram does surf, but he had some very kind words for the Tigers manager, Brad Ausmus, before the game today. Both guys lived in Del Mar. Tram moved away. I believe Brad still lives in the city of Del Mar.
Here is Yoenis Cespedes to lead it off. Sanchez back out there. Strike 1 on Cespedes. He'll be followed by Moss and Donaldson. Yoenis a single in his last at bat, extending his hitting streak. And he now has hit safely in 14 straight, which, by the way, is a career high. Here's the 1-1 pitch. 2 balls and 1 strike. One run, 7 hits for the Athletics. A run on 4 hits for the Tigers. Although Kazmir has since departed the game with an injury, it's all we expected tonight between the 2 starting pitchers. Here's the 2-1. Cespedes swings in a ground ball to short. Suarez just airmails it, throws high, and Cespedes is aboard. So a routine play turns into an E6.
Well, let's hope the air doesn't come back to haunt the Tigers.
Miggy just watched it sail by him.
Miggy stands 6 feet 5 inches, but there was nothing he could do there.
So the leadoff man is on here in the 8th. That'll bring up Brandon Moss. First error of the ball game for the Tigers. Moss a single in 3 at-bats in this ball game. That floats outside. 1 ball and no strikes.
And Cespedes has the green light if he feels like he could steal a bag. And Bob Melvin could give him the stop sign, but he can go if he feels like he can get a good enough jump against Sanchez.
Swing and a miss. 1-1 the count.
Tremendous movement on everything that Sanchez throws. That's a slider buried down and into the dangerous. And Brandon Moss.
Moss is one of 3 Athletics that have at least 50 RBIs in their lineup. In fact, they're the only team in the majors with 3 50 RBI guys at this time. Cespedes, Donaldson, and Moss have each reached that plateau. Behind in the count here, 1-2. Here's how they play him defensively. That's Castellanos between Kinsler and Cabrera. Low and away. Thought about offering but didn't. 2 balls, 2 strikes. Two and 2 on Moss. Another throw back to the bag. Cespedes back in there easily.
It's a good job by Sanchez. You don't want to forget about Cespedes. You don't want him to think that he could steal a bag here. And if you give Avila time to throw, he has thrown out plenty of base runners this year. The key is you have to give Alex time.
Driven toward the gap in left center field. This appears to be trouble, and it is all the way to the wall. This will score Cespedes. Moss is on his way to second. He will pull in, and the air comes around to score. The Athletics have taken a 2-1 lead.
And probably the final pitch that Sanchez will throw today.
Brad Ausmus will make the change. Double RBI for Moss. The A's have the advantage now. The Tigers going to the bullpen. And it's a Wallside Windows pitching change. We'll be back. Oakland on top 2-1 in the RBI double by Brandon Moss here in the 8th.
Let's take a look at Anibal Sanchez's night. A lot of pop-ups off the Oakland Athletics bats here today. Lots of ground balls. He really didn't allow them to barrel up a whole lot here today. Just a couple of strikeouts, which kept him into this game, into the 8th inning. He did a very nice job. Gave up a couple of runs. One on a bloop single by Jed Lowry, and also you just witnessed the big hit. That was by Brandon Moss into the left center field gap to drive in Cespedes, who had reached on an air by Suarez.
And so Moss picks up his 60th RBI. Here are the final numbers. Well, again, they're not final. Here are the numbers on Sanchez.
One thing when Sanchez does pitch for the Tigers, I mean, last time they scored quite a few runs for him, but by and large, he does not get a lot of run support.
And that's the case again here tonight. So the Tigers going to have to come back. Jabba Chamberlain now is the Tiger bullpen pitcher.
He's got a job to do here against Donaldson. Donaldson very dangerous on pitches inside. Therefore, Jabba needs to use his breaking ball, whether it be the slider or the curveball and the fastball away from Josh Donaldson.
So the runner at second, Moss, still the property of Anibal Sanchez, as Donaldson stands in there 0 for 3. Chamberlain replacing Sanchez here in the 8th. Way outside, 1-0. Tigers now been out hit 8-4 in this game. Donaldson, when we saw him earlier in the year, was really hitting the ball well, but then June approached, and he had a stretch here in the month of June in which he was 0 for 33. But with these situations, 307 with a man in scoring position this year.
And because he was struggling offensively, he took it to the defensive side. He's made 15 errors this year.
Way outside, and now the count goes to 3-0. And he walked it. Ball 4. So on 4 straight pitches, Donaldson is aboard. Now that'll put 2 on. Still nobody out. That'll bring up the left-handed batting Stephen Vogt. This will be the first meeting between these two. Chamberlain trying to keep it right here. A double by Moss, a walk to Donaldson, a run in, breaking a 1-all tie.
Castellanos going through some signs over at third base just in case. The bunt is on for the A's, but they don't give away a lot of outs. They don't bunt that often.
That's ball 1 now to Stephen Vogt. Jabba has not thrown a strike yet. However, Mr. Foxtrax disagrees. But he's not upping tonight. Here's the 1-0. It's in there for a strike. A somewhat sarcastic cheer from the home crowd here at the ballpark. There's a base hit right field. Moss coming to third. They stop him there, and now the A's have him loaded with nobody out and a run in. It's the 3rd hit of the night for Stephen Vogt. Now Jeff Jones coming out. So the plot thickens here in the 8th inning, where the A's are looking for much more than the one that they have scored already. The A's certainly played well in this ballpark last year. They took 3 out of 4 from the Tigers here at Comerica.
Tigers got lucky just to win the one game that they did win. Walk-off fashion. Torrey Hunter hit a big home run really late in that game against their closer at the time, Grant Balfour.
Well, here's our Comerica Bank game summary. Anibal Sanchez 15 1/3 this year against the A's, only 2 earned runs. Cabrera's hit a homer in this ball game tonight, and neither team really all that good with men in scoring position. So the infield coming in a couple of steps here as Jed Lowry stands in. Checked it, And he went strike one. That base hit by Vogt was his third and the team's ninth. They've got Moss, the runner, at third, Donaldson at second, Vogt at first. Bender that missed. That looked pretty good. Looked like the top edge of the strike zone. Didn't get the call, though, from Mike DeMuro.
No doubt. Looked like a strike.
Lifted back out of play. Sellout crowd of 42,477 here at the ballpark tonight. On hand to celebrate the 30th anniversary of the Tigers '84 championship team. They got the road jerseys, the replica road jerseys, handed out tonight before the game.
They passed out 20,000 of those replica jerseys.
I'm thinking they didn't last very long either. The crowds, as we got to the ballpark early today, 3, 4 o'clock, were already starting to wind around the ballpark.
Yes, Shannon said that they had given them out by the time the clock turned to 5:30.
Wow. 1-2. Pulled, foul down the first base line.
This was earlier today. And fans standing in line. So it's 4:45 this afternoon.
And tonight, better than 42,000 jamming into the ballpark. 1 ball, 2 strikes on Jed Lowry. Bases loaded, nobody out for the Athletics. Popped up. See if this stays in play. Cabrera drifting. And it's back out of play. That would have been a big out. Row 1 behind the dugout. Alberto Callaspo waiting on deck for the Athletics. Sanchez allowed a ground ball to Cespedes that was thrown away, and a routine play by Suarez, and then he gave up the double to Brandon Moss to drive in a run. Luke Gregerson has been loosening in the Oakland bullpen. Checked it. 2-2. Chamberlain now visibly wanted that one.
Yeah, Job was wondering where the breaking balls are going that he's not getting the call from the home plate umpire, Mike DeMuro.
Again at the top of the strike zone, you see Avila trying to snatch it down. Here's the 2-2 instead. Lowry steps out and Avila goes out to the mound. Moss, for the time being, has given the A's the lead here, 2-1. They are seeking more. Here's the 2-2. Swing and a foul right at home plate, and Avila unable to hold on to it. He was nicked up too.
That's nothing new for Avila. Got him on the right shoulder.
Two and two, the count stays. Chapa's about to throw his 15th pitch. And he's taking too long, so Lowry is given time at home plate. Driven to left field, sinking, and a base hit. They're going to try and get 2 runs in here. Here comes Donaldson to the plate. He will score standing up. It's a 2-run single by Jed Lowry, who's got 3 RBIs tonight.
And Lowry knew he was bound to get a fastball because Jabba continued to miss with the breaking ball, or he wasn't getting the calls from the home plate umpire. He waited patiently for that fastball. Donaldson, who was on second base, got a great break and a great read on that line drive, able to score rather easily.
So Brad Osmond's coming out. He's going to go out there and get Jabba Chamberlain. 15-pitch effort, unable to get it out. Phil Koch will come in to face Alberto Callaspo, and we'll be back.
Hungry for more Tigers baseball? Prepare to feast on the A's on Fox Sports Detroit.
Well, the A's have taken a 4-1 lead now as we play here in the 8th. Still nobody out, and Oakland with 3 runs in. They will face a new pitcher for the Tigers. It'll be the left-hander Phil Koch.
Phil Koch, last 10, 12 games or so, has been pitching some really good baseball. You can see the last 5, no earned runs, 5 strikeouts for Phil Koch.
It's going to be Callaspo to step in now. Still nobody out. Jabba giving up a walk, couple of singles. The Lowry single scored 2. He's got 3 RBIs tonight. Here is Alberto Callaspo. Vogt and Lowry, the base runners. Now Callaspo, who is 0 for 3.
In best case scenario, ground ball off the bat of Callaspo. He's grounded into 13 double plays this season.
That'll go foul. 0-1.
The ball has been coming out of Phil Koch's hand very nicely. His fastball's been clocked at 95, 96. The breaking ball has had much more depth to it, much more bite. And he's thrown an occasional changeup, but more importantly, he's pitching with a whole lot of confidence these days.
Yeah, that may be the most important thing. Been a whole lot better in the month of June. Here's the 0-1. Callaspo this year hits just 169 against left-handed pitching. The Tigers sure could use a ground ball here. They're down 3 now, 4-1.
Got to give Brad Ausmus a lot of credit the way that he handled Phil Koch during the course of spring training and April and May when Phil Koch was struggling. He didn't give up on him. He had to pick his spots to where to pitch him, and he did that until Phil got back on track.
Now the 0-2. Ball up with the letters, and he fouled it straight back at 94 from Koch. Phil is not allowed to run in 11 of his last 13 outings. Trying to strand a couple of runners here with nobody out. Ground ball toward third. Castellanos tags the bag 1. They go to second and almost a triple play. They get the twin killing. That is huge. 2 gone.
Had that ball been hit a little bit harder to Castellanos, they would have gotten the triple play. Castellanos doesn't run well. Nice feed over to Ian Kinsler. Kinsler turns it over on its way to Miguel Cabrera, but Callaspo well past the bag. 14th double play now that Callaspo is hit into.
So with 2 outs, here is Eric Sogard. He's 0 for 3 in this game. Sogard, a couple of ground balls and a flyout. Way outside. Avila knocks it down, but the runner will not advance. Tigers going to have some heavy hitters coming up in the bottom of the 8th. Kinsler, Cabrera, Martinez. Ready with the 1-0. Grounded foul. 1 ball, 1 strike on Sogard. The Athletics this year have had really an astounding run differential. A run differential of 135. 135 more runs than their opponents have scored. A lot has been made about their starting pitching, and deservedly so, because numbers wise they are at the top in ERA, but the offense has found a way to be efficient.
They don't strike out a lot. They walk a lot. They get big hits. They hit the ball out of the ballpark. They've got a unique platoon system.
This is not a lineup, when you look at it up and down, you would say it leads the majors in runs scored, but it is. Ground ball right side. Kinsler scoops it up, and that is going to be that. So Phil Coe comes in, does a terrific job. However, the A's get 3. Fans, don't forget you can follow every Tigers game with MLB.com at bat on your favorite mobile phone or tablet. Get live look-ins, instant replay, scores, stats, audio, and a whole lot more. Download in the App Store or visit Tigers.com today. Looks like Yoenis Cespedes is out of this game now. They will tighten up defensively with Craig Gentry in left. And they've got a new pitcher as well coming in. That's Luke Gregerson, who will take over for the Athletics.
Everybody that comes out of that Oakland Athletics bullpen has really good numbers. Gregerson, 41 games prior to the outing today, has 12 holds in a 2.32 ERA, 40 strikeouts for Gregerson, and he's only walked 7 batters.
Well, he's going to have to deal with 3 pretty good hitters here in the 8th. The A's lead 4-1. It's going to be Kinsler, Cabrera, Martinez. Ian had a single against the starter Casimir back in the 3rd. Casimir had to leave with an apparent side injury. That was back in the 6th inning. Otero came on and pitched an inning and 2/3 scoreless, and now Gregerson. He sails the first one outside. 1 ball and no strikes on Kinsler. Gregerson is a former San Diego Padre. The last 5 years in San Diego. The Athletics gave up Seth Smith, an outfielder, to get Gregerson and bolster their bullpen. Kinsler waiting on a 1-1, and he drills it foul right back into the seats. 1-2. Only 4 Tigers hits in this contest, and their only run coming on the strength of the Miguel Cabrera home run back in the 6th. There's Miggy waiting on deck. Kinsler checked his swing, didn't go, and so says Mike Estabrook. Here's the 2-2. Low, 3 balls, 2 strikes. Tigers need some base runners. Again, this bullpen for the A's has been one of the best in the American League. 2nd best ERA. Crowd trying to lend some support. Here's the 3-2. And he walked it. Ball 4. Leadoff man is on. That's a good start. That'll bring up Miguel Cabrera. Well, the Tigers combine for 3 or more home runs. Bring a copy of the box score to a participating Arby's location tomorrow and get a free small order of curly fries. And Miggy already has one tonight.
He hit that against Scott Kazmir. It was a changeup that stayed up. One of the few mistakes Kazmir made in the game before departing with an apparent leg injury. And Miguel Cabrera hits it into the Oakland Athletics bullpen.
Also a double to go with his home run tonight. And he sends a ground ball to third. Callaspo to second. One and a double play. Hit it hard right at Alberto Callaspo, twin killing. 2 outs in the 8th. Now J.D. Martinez. J.D. couple of strikeouts and a walk as you check out the Tigers in-game box score. All of their hits coming from the top 3 spots in the lineup. There's a strike called on J.D. Victor Martinez was originally in the lineup tonight. J.D. had the night off, but Martinez experiencing some soreness in his side, so he was a late scratch. Straight up change J.D. for Victor in the lineup. Ball low and away. 1 ball, 1 strike. Four runs, 10 hits for the A's. A run on 4 hits for the Tigers. Here's the 1-1. 2 balls, 1 strike. Two balls and 1 strike. Gregerson replacing Otero. Trying to get through the 8th inning here. Just got a big double play ball. That one misses high, and the count goes to 3-1. There's Torrey waiting on deck. Three-one pitch. Strike call. 3-2 on J.D. Martinez. And he walked him, so Gregerson walks his 2nd in the inning.
And we told you coming into the game today, in all the outings that Gregerson has had this year, he's only walked 7 batters, so 2 today in 41st outing is rare for Luke.
He's going to bring up Torrey Hunter. He is flied out to center field 3 times tonight. One and 0. Drop in for a strike. Hunter in that series in Oakland had a couple of home runs against the Athletics. Trying to keep it going here in the bottom of the 8th as Blaine Hardy begins to warm up now in the Detroit bullpen. Torrey showing bunt. He offered at it. He's down to the count now. 1 ball, 2 strikes. Torrey Story trying any way to get aboard. That would bring the tying run to the plate in a 4-1 ball game.
Usually hitters don't like to bunt once they already have one strike on them, because if they miss or they do not get it down, now you've got 2 strikes on the hitter. But Kayaspo playing so deep at third base, Torrey just couldn't resist it.
Off the end of the bat, right to the first baseman. Folk will tag the bag for the out. That'll end the inning. No runs, couple of walks, 1 left.
New York with a call, Sam update. The Cubs' Jake Arrieta going for a no-hitter in Boston tonight. 2 outs in the 8th when Stephen Drew slaps that to right, breaking up the no-hitter. He would get a standing ovation from the Cubs fans in attendance and also from the Red Sox faithful. Cubs do go on to win the game by a final of 2-0. Tigers and A's headed to the 9th as we send you back to Camaro.
All right, Mick, thanks. As we go to the 9th inning, 4-1 is our score. The Athletics have 4 runs, 10 hits. Tigers have managed only 4 hits in the game. The home run by Cabrera, that has been it pretty much. We have a new pitcher now for Detroit. It'll be left-hander Blaine Hardy.
And Blaine Hardy has a fastball that's clocked anywhere from 89 to 91 miles an hour. He's got a really good breaking ball when he buries it away from the left-handers down and into the right-hander. He's already logged 8 in the 3rd inning since being recalled from the minor leagues.
So Hardy will go to work, and he will do so against the top of the lineup for the Athletics. It'll be Coco Crisp and then John Jasto to follow. He's got 1 in the 6th and 3 in the 8th. Sanchez charged with 2 of the 4 runs tonight. Crisp has a couple of hits, single and a double, and he looks at a strike. Same 2 teams tomorrow evening. Tigers and A's have a 3-gamer here. It's going to be Porcello and Brad Mills. And Verlander and Chavez will close it out on Wednesday. There's a wave and a miss.
Porcello coming off of his first complete game shutout of his major league career against the Texas Rangers. And while the team was in Arlington, he was sensational that night.
Awfully fun to watch him pitch that game in that ballpark.
His sinker was lethal. 15 ground ball outs for Rick Porcello, his last outing.
Here's the 0-2. 1 ball, 2 strikes. Athletics got some big runs in the 8th. Big 2-run single by Jed Lowry as Crisp swings and catches Avila on the backswing.
Avila, poor fella.
It happens often. One and 2 the count. Lowry tonight 3 RBIs for the Athletics. And Brandon Moss an RBI double as well. Way outside, 2 balls, 2 strikes. There's Jaso waiting on deck. He'll be followed by Gentry. Cespedes is out of this game. They replaced him defensively in the outfield with Gentry. Otherwise he would have hit 3rd in this inning. And the 2-2. Got him. Strike 3. Crisp knew it, and he is out of there.
It's a real good off-speed pitch here thrown by Hardy. It froze Coco Crisp. Breaking ball right around the belt buckle that ended up on the inner 3rd of home plate.
Here's John Jaso. Jaso tonight is 0 for 4. He's had a couple of fly balls, and he swings and misses 0-1. And he came in pretty hot, 11 for his previous 29. Tigers have slowed him down tonight. Check swing. Did he go? The appeal did not.
And for the most part this year, Bob Melvin's carried 3 catchers, and all 3 have had pretty good years. And Derek Norris, Vogt, Jaso in the contest here this evening.
Well, in this ball game, they got the big double by Moss.
Derek Norris is going to get some serious consideration for making the All-Star team this year with Matt Wieters undergoing Tommy John surgery. He's having a nice year.
That's rolled foul down the first base line. Toward left field in the air, Rajay Davis under it. It'll be the second out of the inning. Here's the upcoming pitching matchup presented by the Office of Michigan Highway Safety. And it's going to be Brad Mills and Rick Porcello tomorrow.
And Porcello looking for his 11th victory of the season against just 4 losses and a sparkling ERA of .341.
Rick on the hill in game 2. He'll take his shot at these A's. Gentry gets his first at bat. Swing and a miss. Down the count is 1 ball, 1 strike.
Gentry, nice pickup for the Oakland Athletics. If Coco Crisp can't go on any given day, he's a legitimate center fielder. And Josh Reddick now on the disabled list, so Gentry can play right field as well. And he's got a lot of speed.
That one is picked right before it hit the dirt. 1-2-3 inning. Tigers coming up in the bottom of the 9th against Sean Doolittle. Last call for the Tigers. We go to the bottom of the 9th in a 4-1 lead for the Athletics. Here is the call Sam called of the game, and for that we bring you back to game 5 of the 1984 World Series.
You want the infield in on him? No. Where you going? I mean, I've got to cut that. I got to cut the. You mean you're talking about striking him out? Yeah. He don't want to walk you. If he doesn't run good, you can stay back a little further. All right, let's go. 1 man out.
Here's the pitch. He swings. There's a long drive to right, and it is a home run for Gibson.
Oh, one of the great moments in the history of the Tigers, and it happened back in 1984. He don't want to walk you, says Sparky, and earlier tonight they had the celebration here at Comerica Park.
A lot of fun getting a chance to see some former teammates here today. Celebrating the 30th anniversary of the last World Championship here in Detroit.
Alan Trammell, of course, one of the headliners, along with Sweet Lou Whitaker. Dan Dickerson did a fabulous job in moderating the pregame festivities. Well, here we go. Sean Doolittle now will check in here in the 9th inning in a 4-1 ball game.
And Doolittle didn't give up a whole lot. Take a look at his numbers. 56 strikeouts, and he's only walked 1 batter. That's unbelievable, really.
Well, he comes right at Castellanos, who fouls it back out of play. Nick has walked twice in this game.
That wasn't a typo. He's only walked 1 batter this year, too.
The minute you mentioned that is the minute I picked up my stat sheet, and he has 1 walk.
He just gave up a run the other day, and that snapped a 24-outing scoreless streak for Sean Doolittle.
Nice play down at third. Callaspo dug. No, not dug out.
Get back to the bag.
And Castellanos hustling back there. So he is aboard.
And Callasmo getting some reps at third base these days. Donaldson struggling there, makes a nice play, goes down to one knee, comes over and fires across the diamond, not picked by Moss. Castellanos took a couple steps toward second base, which meant he had to hustle to get back to the bag to make sure he wasn't tagged out.
It goes as a base hit, the third time Castellanos reaches tonight.
Just to finish what I was saying on Doolittle, they gave up a run on Saturday against the Marlins, and that was the first time in 24 outings he gave up a run.
He's got 11 saves this year. Opponent's batting just 159 against him. Here is Avila. He drives one into right center, base hit. Here come the Tigers now. Castellanos on his way to third. He'll get in there standing up, and the Tigers showing the life in the ninth.
And Doolittle trying to bully Avila with a fastball. Avila pulled his hands in nicely. You can see Castellanos reading the play all the way, looking at Chris and knowing that Chris doesn't have a strong throwing arm. He didn't need the third base coach, Dave Clark, to tell him whether he could get to third or not. He made the decision on his own.
2 on, nobody out. Doolittle facing Eugenio Suarez. And he had a rip. 96-mile-an-hour fastball. Suarez fouled it straight back.
And we talked about the fact that Victor Martinez did not start in the game today with a sore side, but you wonder if he could give the club one at bat today if they need him.
Here's the 0-1. Swing and a miss, 0-2. Few have gotten to Doolittle this year. The Tigers trying to do it here in the ninth. Just ended that 26 2/3 inning scoreless streak against the Marlins. Swing and a miss, and he carves up Suarez.
All off-speed stuff to Suarez to put him away.
Now here is Austin Jackson. He needed just 3 pitches to dispatch Suarez. They've got Castellanos at third. They have Avila at first base. Jackson is 0 for 3. Inside 1-0.
Doolittle's got a big arm. And that last fastball, 96 miles an hour.
First round pick in 07. And it's in there for a strike. 1-1.
Straight over the top. And here it is, hit it. And that last fastball, 96 miles an hour.
First round pick in 07. And it's in there for a strike. 1-1.
Straight over the top. And here it is, hit it.
Outside. 2-1 now on Jackson. The bases.
Second walk of the year issued by Doolittle. Of the year.
Kurt Young's going to come out now with the bases loaded. 15 pitches thrown now by Doolittle here. The bases are loaded with 1 out. And his at-bats tonight, he is .355 career with them loaded.
If you're Davis, you're on that on-deck circle. You know about how hard that fastball's coming in. Oh, good breaking ball there.
Did not go.
But sometimes by standing in the on-deck circle where he was after watching 9 fastballs, all mid-90s fastballs, you can sit on the on-deck circle and pretty much time by the time that ball's going to get to home plate. Let's hope Rajay's done that.
He driven in the air toward left field. That ball is deep. That ball is way back. And it's a game winner.
He walked him off.
Grand slam home run. Rajay Davis. A stunning, and I mean stunning, comeback win tonight for the Tigers. How about this swing by Rajay?
Back-to-back breaking balls thrown by Doolittle. Rajay Davis was looking for the fastball, no doubt. His bat was sped up, and he got just enough of it, and he knew it was gone before he got to the first base bag. High fives for Omar Vizquel.
On the bench. Yes, sir, it's gone. What a fitting ending to a night in which we celebrate the 1984 champs.
Yeah. All right.
Let's send it down to Trevor Thompson. He's standing by with Rajay Davis.
He looked cold, too.
He's a little wet.
Cool? No, cold. I know Rajay's cold, too, but I know that's got to feel good, Rajay.
No, that felt great, actually. You know, just got a good pitch to hit, and we were to take care of it.
Have you ever had a walk-off this dramatic, a walk-off grand slam, ever?
No, I can't say I have, but this is definitely something I will remember forever.
Tell me how much you think that picks up your team to start this homestand and win it in a fashion like this.
Well, this is a great team. Oakland is a good team. They pitched well today, and we were to fight until the end.
Austin Jackson watched 9 fastballs fly by before he took a walk to load up the bases. Does that give you time to time Doolittle, maybe get a sense of what he was throwing?
Well, I was trying to get my timing over there. Jackson had a great at-bat, just set up the table, and I'm just thankful for a mistake.
Lend a little more perspective to the at-bat that Austin had setting up yours.
Well, Jackson's been seeing the ball good last few games. You know, he might not have had success, but he's been having good at-bats, and that was just another good at-bat.
Tell me about the never-say-die attitude of your team coming into the bottom of the 9th here, down 3 runs.
Well, that's exciting. I mean, this is our team. This is what we play for, and then we have the great fans, you know, who stayed and stuck with us. You know, this is awesome.
Rajay Davis's 6th home run of the season, his biggest by far of the year. Mario, back to you.
All right, Trev, thanks. Man, oh man, this crowd is fired up. So is Rajay Davis. I know they're a little bit wet down, but that's okay.
Trev always seems to get wet down there when he's on the sideline.
He's got the big moments.
You got to know those things are coming by now.
It was a big moment tonight. Walk-off grand slam. Oh, what a feeling for Davis.
And just like we promised you earlier in the game, it is Miller time, and it is brought to you by Miller Lite. After throwing Jackson 9 straight fastballs, back-to-back off-speed pitches to Rajay Davis. Rajay Davis caught the second mistake and hit it into the Tigers bullpen for a grand slam, walk-off fashion. How about that?
How happy is that clubhouse going to be tonight? Your final score in this one, the Tigers beat the Oakland A's in Game 1 in this series 5-4. Our coverage continues with Tigers Live postgame. We send you to the Call Sam Studios and Mickey York.
Yeah, thank you, Mario. The coverage and the celebration continues here on Tigers Live. Coming up on the show, we'll hear what Brad Ausmus and the players thought of that fantastic finish. Craig Monroe will applaud Austin Jackson's diving effort in center field. And we'll look back on the 1984 Tigers anniversary celebration. All that and more coming up next on a post-game edition of Tigers Live.
Breaking ball. Rajay Loco. Incredible!
Rajay Davis's first career walk-off grand slam, as called by Dan Dickerson on 97.1 The Ticket. Well, it is with great trepidation that I intro this next segment. The audio gods were not on our side tonight. During this evening's broadcast, you may have actually witnessed a sign of the apocalypse as I was forced into play-by-play duties. Again, my apologies. And I graciously offer Mario and Rod's post-game wrap-up in tonight's booth report.
All right, Mick, thanks very much. Well, a special night here at the ballpark. A thrilling and stunning win for the Detroit Tigers. They come back in the ninth inning. Really around kind of a fitting finish to an evening in which we celebrated the 1984 championship team 30-year anniversary. Really, everything was good about this night, including the ceremony, which you took part in.
Oh, no doubt about that. Was one of the best years of my life as far as the pro is concerned. Making that team out of spring training, going 35-5. The start they got off onto the road trip, everything special. Tigers did a wonderful job, and the guys that showed up had a lot of fun. They were showed a lot of love here tonight.
All right, Anibal Sanchez started this ball game, will not get the win, and you feel bad about that. The Tigers eventually get this victory, but for Anibal, another good outing tonight.
He's one of the best right-handers in the game. He's got 4+ pitches. He's got the fastball that he elevates at about 95. He touched 95 today a couple times. He's got real nice separation in between the breaking ball, curveball, and also the changeup. This is a really good Oakland Athletics team. They had won 4 games in a row. They've already won 51 this year, so it's going to be a challenge every time you go up against them. They grind out every single at-bat, and he was able to match Scott Kazmir, who was good once again against the Tigers pitch for pitch, but he did give up a run in the 6th inning, and he also gave up another run later on in the game. That would be the 8th inning. So other than that, he was just money tonight, and he's just a joy to watch. And if he continues to pitch the way that he has pitched since they acquired him from the Marlins, he's going to win a lot of games for the Detroit Tigers, because the Tigers, they got a pretty good offense. They've got some guys that can move that baseball with the bat.
All right, you figured going into the bottom of the 9th inning, down 4-1, Sean Doolittle coming, and nobody really has been able to get to him, but the Tigers got a couple of hits to start the inning. The big at-bat, though, was the walk to Austin Jackson, which led up to the home run.
When you look at Doolittle's numbers coming in, we thought it was a misprint. Cat only has 1 walk on the season and a ton of strikeouts, but give Castellanos some credit. He got a fastball. Avila also got a fastball, but Austin Jackson, he was sensational in his particular at-bat. 9-pitch walk by Austin Jackson, the final pitch in the mid-90s that he took inside, and that set the stage for Rajay Davis, who had a real nice look at the 9 pitches from the on-deck circle that Doolittle was featuring. He thought he was going to get a fastball. He was sitting on a fastball. He got a mistake breaking ball right down the middle, and he didn't miss it. Sometimes pitchers get away with that. Doolittle didn't get away from that, and it brings me back to the last really nice win the Tigers had during the regular season here against the Oakland Athletics. It was that big walk-off home run that Torrey Hunter hit against their closer at the time, Grant Balfour. So Tigers have turned in some heroics against the Oakland Athletics during the regular season and in the postseason.
Well, Mickey, I'm not sure we can beat the game tonight. Tomorrow night for dramatics, we'll give it a shot, though. We'll be back to preview Game 2 in this series coming up, but right now we go back to you in the Call Sam Studios.
All right, guys, see you again in a few minutes as we take a look at the Tigers' upcoming schedule.